As you're listening to this show, you're probably training for a race. But how dialed in is your race nutrition? Precision Fuel and Hydration has a free online planner that you can use to work out how much carbs, sodium and fluid you need to perform at your best. Brady regularly uses their resealable 90-gram gels on his longer runs. Click the link in the show notes to use the planner to personalise your strategy for your next race. Then use the code INSIDE to get 15% off your first order of fuel and electrolytes and help support the show. More details at precisionhydration.com. Now let's get to it.
Think your skin can bring you so much pain. Now I hear you say you got the best of both ways. Won't you come and take a walk in my shoes and tell me if you take my place?
Welcome to episode number 327 of the Inside Running Podcast. Thank you for joining us for another week. We've got a big show coming at you this week. We've got some half marathon news out of Marugame in Japan. The US Olympic trials happened, so I'll be talking about those. Some fast times indoor, which included a Jessica Hull Australian record to chat about, some Jakob Ingebrigtsen news, some whispers, some previews of maybe the Adelaide International, which is coming up this week as well, and Jimmy Friend at the end of the episode talking about some new shoe releases. Welcome to my co-host. He's up in Canberra, Bradley Croker. How are you this week?
Oh, not too bad, Brady. I was better 45 minutes ago when, I'm good.
Just explaining that to the listeners, we had a technical issue where we recorded the first 45 minutes of this episode and then, the computer shut down and we're here to do the first 45 minutes all again. And it was a good first 45 minutes too, Croaks, but we'll get another one. We've got two audio recording programs going now just in case another issue arises. But we have done all this 45 minutes ago. But welcome, Croaks, to this week's episode.
Thanks, Brady. Yeah, I'm good. Back on the chalk. And luckily we've got a very forgiving and understanding co-host this week.
Let me introduce you to our co-host, Croaks. He is one of international media's running kings of the industry. He has over 14,000 Strava followers, and last year, in 2023, was voted in at number 7, according to Runner's World Europe, as the 10 most running influential people of the year. He's a 2:21 marathon runner and the co-host of Norway's #1 running podcast. He isn't afraid to share an opinion and one of the best people to talk all things running with. Welcome back to the Inside Running Podcast for the second time in 45 minutes. Kristian from Norway, Ulriksen, welcome to you. How are you going this week?
Thanks for having me, Brady. I said earlier we had in Norway we had the show for 5 years. 2 times this have happened. So I'm in the industry and I know sometimes can be a problem. But as I said the first time, this for me is the race week, and the last 4 years have been better to have me on before the race than after the race. So hopefully we can turn it around this time.
We'll be good. This is the first time that's happened to us, but the listeners don't know, boys. So this is weird for us for the next 45 minutes. We'll just try to say exactly the same things we did 45 minutes ago, but for the listeners, it's all new for them. So we'll get through this. Tell us about the weather over there in Kristo. Cold in Oslo, icy, snowing.
Yeah, the weather has been up and down. It's unbelievable. Today is -5, but it's blue sky and the sun is out. So the last month have been everything from -20 to +10, and some days with crazy snow, some days with rain, some days with cold. So have been really hard to run outside. Very, very icy, and some days have been close to dangerous. So I have been a lot down in the dungeon for the treadmill, and we have a group together Tuesday and Thursday inside the Bislett Stadium for running intervals. So I cannot complain, but have been crazy weather.
Yeah, and your shape, like you're going into Barcelona Half Marathon this Sunday, but how's the overall fitness looking at this stage?
I think it's good. I have done a little bit of a new approach for training, mostly because I think I need it, and at the same time it's good for the mental state of mind to sometimes change up some small things. But I have run 68:23, 68:27 and 68:34. So I have 3 races in 11 seconds. I hope I can run close to 68 flat or somewhere between 68:30 and 68 flat, and I will be happy.
If there's any new listeners who are just tuning in for the first time and wondering where this guy from Norway's come from, go back and listen to his full-length interview that's been on the show. Go back and hear him when he's filled in a couple of times before in the past as well, because as I said in the intro, this guy knows a lot of stuff about the worldwide distance running, has some strong opinions, and just strap yourself in for the next probably 90 minutes now, because it's going to be an entertaining show with Chriso on board. So, mate, we really appreciate you being on this episode, and let's get into a bit of a weekly recap. You know how things go on this show?
Yeah, we go week by week. So all in all, I have done, I will say, a solid work of training since the beginning of August. I ran 70:27 in September for the half, ran 69:40 in October in Valencia for the half, and of course, the Valencia Marathon was a big disappointment. I finished the race, but I felt very, very bad from early in the race. So had a week off after that one, like 50K with jogging. And since then, I have done 8 weeks of solid training. I have, the show in Norway is with a guy called Sindre Burås. He's a 13:11 guy from 2015, was in the World Championship final for the 5K, so a really strong guy. So I'm coaching myself, these days as well, but he's putting in some guidelines. So I try to change some stuff. I think I needed it. I think I also need a longer period with, let's say, normal training. So I will go for the marathon again. I don't know if I will do Berlin in September or Valencia in December, but I know that I need a good period with solid training. And for me, this training is about myself and my goals. And when you have run everything between 2:21 and 2:30, I'm not here for running to 2:25 again. So hopefully we can build something strong the next couple of months, and we can go hard on the marathon in the end of the year.
The Norwegian model, have you ever followed that for a long period of time in the past, or always just kind of dabbled in and out?
I tried 6-7 weeks back in 2016, but I had full work. It was on a construction site. Was really hard to do sessions in the morning, go for 8 hours of work in the construction industry, and then go back for the session. So I will say I have never done the real Norwegian system. And this time I have more sort of a step into it. I have not done 100% what the Ingebrigtsen guys are doing or what the Norwegian system is, because that is 5 sessions a week. And I have done some weeks with 4, but I'm trying to ease into it. All in all, I have done more volume on lower intensity now, and feeling like the body is handling the training a little bit better. But all in all, the Norwegian system is about believing in the volume, believing in the lactate measurement, and going week by week, not be the last rep hero killer.
Yeah, and for people in Australia that have never heard of the Norwegian method before, we're talking about double session days, 4 or 5 workouts a week, but lower intensity.
Yeah. All in all, more interval sessions. You trust the lactate measurement, and you run a lot around the marathon pace, or 2.0 to 3.0 on the lactate measurement. So for a lot of people in the beginning, it's a big struggling with staying on the system. It's easy to get carried away, but you just need to believe that the volume and weeks after weeks will get you there. We had a big interview last night with George Mills. He's an English guy, he ran 12:57 now in Boston. He was he's an old 800-meter guy, ran 1:46, won the British champs in 2020 for the 1500 meter. And he was pretty much doing what English people are doing, flogging himself twice a week, have a big talent, but running really hard twice a week. And one day he had enough, was talking with a good friend of us, a Norwegian guy on the same team. His name is Jakob Botera, and then he started out with the Norwegian system. And 1 year later now we have created a phenomenal base. He have put 30 seconds faster for the 5,000 meter. And what he said that is, in the beginning, it's really hard to just leave every session wanting to run a little bit faster. But if you're going with this system, you need to trust the process.
And Kristian, sorry, Brady, has the Norwegian system evolved over the years? Because I remember you used to talk about the original guy, was it Marius Bakken? And so back then, was he still doing double thresholds then, or was he doing more, your 6-minute reps? Because I know now, like, when you do your double thresholds, like the morning session is more around marathon pace, whereas I was sort of under the understanding that potentially when it first started, it was more, say, 6-minute reps at 60-minute pace, but you're only doing sort of one session, like still long sessions, but the intensity is a little bit higher than what you're doing for 2 sessions. Has it evolved over like 15, 20 years?
Marius was a 5K only guy. He was a little bit like a one-man show. He and his coach was testing out stuff. Marius came from the same background as Mills, was a fast 800-meter guy, flogging himself, and then they started to create this system. And in the beginning, I think what you said is spot on. They ran, the sessions were a little bit more connected back in the days. And then Ingebrigtsen people and also Sondre Moen and Sindre Burås was creating some more kind of a gap between the morning and the afternoon. So the morning became a little bit easier, more around 2 millimole. That is not 60-minute pace, but more marathon pace. And in the afternoon, going a little bit shorter and a little bit faster. So if you are talking about 400 meters, around 10K pace. If you are talking about 1K repeat, somewhere around 15K to half marathon pace.
Yeah.
So, but they are building the system also with new shoes. I think it's possible to get more volume. So they have created more of a gap between the morning and the afternoon.
The only reason I brought it up, Kristian, was because I feel like people now, when they think of the Norwegian system, it's like, well, you need to be doing 2 sessions a day. And I know I reached out to you a couple of years ago and said, hey, I want to give this sort of Norwegian system a go. Like, I don't want to do 2 sessions a day, but like if I'm doing 6-minute reps, sort of what pace should I do? And I remember you saying 6-minute reps around 60-minute pace. If you're doing Ks, maybe 4 seconds a K faster than that. And if you're doing 400s off 30 seconds recovery, then, between 5K and 30-minute sort of pace, but do a couple of sets of it, maybe start on the more conservative side. And like I had a lot of success 2 years ago in terms of the sessions weren't hard, but my fitness definitely progressed. So I think people listening out there, like, you don't necessarily need to go and do 2 sessions a day, but you can still sort of follow the Norwegian system and get some benefit from it.
Yeah, I will say that one of the most important part with this system is that the best talent in this sport is usually the people with the best mentality also. They know the kind of intensity they need for each session in their mind. When we are talking about a guy like Sean Creighton, you don't have to give Sean Creighton a lactate measurement. Sean Creighton, he knew what he needed all the time. And that was one of the reasons why he became one of the best. And if you talk with Monaghetti will say that the reason he became so good was so many years with 180 to 200K. But if you flog yourself twice a week, like George Mills and the English people did, they are not running 180 to 200. They are running 100Ks a week because they are so tired. So if you go with this system, I think this can be a place for stupid people to be more that we trust the lactate measurement, we do what we are supposed to do instead of just running on feet.
Yeah.
Is there still a long run in the week, or like medium? So 90-minute one?
No, it's not no midweek long run. I will say that this system is intervals or sessions or is easy runs. I have talked with Marius Bakken myself. He's a doctor these days, following the sport. He's a really, really nice guy. Back in the days, he put up every single week of training on letsrun.com on the forum there. He was talking about the Norwegian system 20 years ago on the internet. If you go on Let's Run and you are right in Marius Bakken, you can find posted from early 2000. So this system have been there. But of course, Jakob being Olympic champion and the world champion twice in the 5,000 meter, is easier for other people to accept that, okay, Jakob is doing this, he's the best, let's follow Jakob. So, yeah, the system is becoming better, but all in all, the system have been there for ages.
I think summarising the system is basically not overreaching in training. And like, you know, when you mentioned Sean Crichton, so his coach was Pat Clohessy, who went over to college and was a pretty good college runner. But I believe like he used to absolutely nail himself. And then when he turned into becoming a coach, he's like, well, you know, I absolutely destroyed myself. I don't think you need to be doing, you know, training as hard. And so essentially the Norwegian system and guys like Crichton, it's not overreaching in training. That's essentially what it is.
Yeah, and to be able to not overreach in training, you need to have ego, you need to have the smartness, you need to believe that today is training, tomorrow is racing. So you need to just find the balance. And if you cannot naturally find the balance, let's say that the thing that you enjoy the most in running is going out every Sunday and run as hard as you can. This instrument can make you become part of like, okay, I do what I should do. I don't go out kill myself because I want to have 3 millimole on the measurement. Let's have 3 millimole, not 7 millimole.
Yeah.
So it'd be a non-negotiable if you're going to follow this training program that you have one of the lactate testers machines.
You need to buy this machine. It's around 600 Australian dollars. And I have to say, I think 5 to 10 years from now, all people in Australia will have this system as well. And we are talking about a machine that is half your hand.
Looks like a half a size of an iPhone in your hand there. And then
Julian is putting out some content sometimes back home with his treadmill. He have this lactate measurement.
He goes through phases, that guy, though, mate. He's given up on that. He'll get a heart rate monitor back on soon.
Hey, Kristian, one more question on it. Do you think, though, if you've been doing this for a while, that you can start to internally feel the effort and not need the lactate measurements as often?
Yeah, because what will happen is that you will start to... It's one out of two. You start to measure lower or you start to run faster and measure the same. And you have to remember that this system was created for Marius. He ran 13:06 with old shoes. And he was training with Nick Biddle, he was training with Craig Mottram. So if you ask Nick about this system, he will tell, I knew about this system 20 years ago. So this is something that have been on there and people that have been in the sport have known about. But what this machine can make you do is that you stop questioning yourself. You just believe in the machine.
Yeah. And that's one of the downsides, I think, of like GPS watches over the years is like back in the day, you never had feedback on how fast you're running. And so people probably ran to feel a little bit more, whereas now it's like you have a preconceived idea when you walk out the door what you want your watch to say. And regardless of the weather conditions, you're going to run as hard as you need to satisfy the watch, which goes against everything, you know, the Norwegian system stands for.
Yeah, and this Norwegian system has developed because people in this industry, they are smart people. A guy like Andreas Almgren, he's a Swedish guy. I think he ran 27:24 or something in the Valencia 10K now. He's going for Barcelona Half this weekend as well. he and Sondre Moen is probably the only two guys that have done a lot of long stuff, like 1 hour tempo with this measurement. So when we are talking about the system with Ingebrigtsen, they know how to run 5 times 6 minutes, 6 times 6, 10 or 12 times a K. They have lactate measurement on all stuff that is related to 5K, 3K and 1500 meters. But if you go upwards, it's very few people that really know how to put this stuff together. And like you said with GPS watches, I'm talking with Sondre pretty much all day. He said 5-6 years ago, I cannot have Strava, because what happened if I put up all my training on Strava is that I'm doing so much training that is like simple, easy training that I will become more like I need to go faster because all the other people on Strava is running faster. Yeah. So you need to be sensible what you can do. Andreas Algren is putting up all his training, so you can see what he is doing, but at the same time, he is doing simple stuff.
Mm. So Sondre would be doing long runs and stuff though, wouldn't he? He just ran 60 minutes on yesterday.
And he is doing with this stuff, but the problem with talking about Sondre, of course, he's a really good friend of me, but we are talking about a guy that he ran 60-11. He had 5 races now from 60-20, 6 races from 59-48 to 60-20. So when we are talking about the Norwegian model with Sondre in Norway, people will not talk to us because it's so hard to relate to him. This guy has ran 205. He has a phenomenal base. It's really hard to accept that the way he's training is the way we should train, because he has been in this long run game so long. But he had his period with Renato Canova. He did not do anything of this. He was trusting Renato, doing the Renato system. Was no double days, was no lactate, was no heart rate. All training was related to pace, and he did that for 3-4 years. And then he broke up with Renato. I went a little bit back to the roots where he came from, but it's not the same as he did in 2015. This system has developed for him as well.
So what percentage of your group you train with would own one of the lactate testing machines thingies?
In Norway now, is running is the most easy, it's the most cheapest sport in the world. So if you can buy a machine for $600 and you have the machine for 10 years, so pretty much all people have a machine these days. But one thing is to have a machine. Another thing is to do what you should do and trust the machine. I can have the machine, and every time I measure 5 or 6 millimole. It doesn't matter if you have the machine.
Yeah, it's no different to when you have a heart rate strap on. It's like you have a heart rate strap on, you know where your zones are, but if you don't abide by them and you just run to effort and you run over those thresholds, the value of the heart rate monitors, it's not worth it.
That's when you take it off.
Yeah, and the machine is a little bit more precise. If you train a lot, your heart rate will become lower and lower. You get more stimuli, so it's harder to get the heart rate up. I have heard you several times said, Croak, that when you are coming back after a small break, you have the heart rate is insanely high. You can almost never get there when you are fit and in big training. So the lactate is a better system, but yeah, I agree. If you just ignore the lactate, then you can just run on field, do as you want, do as you did earlier.
I reckon we buy a shipping container of these things, Croaks. Start selling them in Australia. $600 US, that's like 850 Australian, isn't it?
Yeah, I had a look online. They're just in the 700s.
We'll sell them out of Moose's store. We'll get Toby and Jimmy Friend shipping them out in envelopes.
Yeah.
Could be on something.
They will, all people will have this, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's get ahead of it.
Strips expensive though as well?
Yeah, not expensive, but yeah, I don't know. $2 each, $1.50, I don't know. In Norway, everything is more expensive, but people don't care. It's cheaper than bicycling and cross-country skiing.
That's what you're comparing it to. Oh, very good. feel like I've just had a bit of personal development on the Norwegian system and know a bit about that. Let's go Monday through to Sunday, Chriso. Tell us what you've been doing.
Okay, so one of the changes I have done, I've started to do gym sessions every Monday. So lifting quite heavy and lifting 5 times 5 reps, I will say. So, I mean, heavy for me. But I have done that every Monday. So every Monday is pretty much have been one run. So 1 hour 10 outside and then went for the gym.
Hey, before you move on, Croaks, have you seen this on his Monday run? He's listed about 15 people in their half marathon PBs.
Yeah.
Entitled a hit list.
Hit list.
Called them out. Start taking
I hope
names.
you will not go there.
I love this. What are you just going to just throughout 2024? These are people you're going to beat, or you want to beat their PBs this week at Barcelona? It's a big list.
To be honest, I'm at a point in my life where I don't care too much about other people. I need to find the hate and I need to find the motivation for running the fastest I can. When I started to create this list was a list with people I respect because they have done a hell of a job, but people with absolutely no talent at all. And then this list become a little bit bigger. You see the name of Grøvdal is there. Of course, she should not be on the list, but it's just okay. That is the top Norwegian girl.
Yeah.
And then we have the top Swedish girl as well.
The list wasn't enough. It's got to come on a podcast and say they've got no talent. And they're running 67 minutes.
Yeah, but I would say it's better to be a no-talent guy and run 67 than be a guy like, who can I compare to? A guy like, what's the name on the guy you have on the other show with Julian?
Tom Meccano, Reese Edwards.
Reese. If Reese trains serious, he can run 208.
Oh, so you're saying so he's got the talent to run 208, but doesn't.
He's wasting his talent. He can be an Olympic. But he can go to the Olympic. That guy have the same capacity as Liam Abbott.
Yeah.
He's just doing stupid things and not training as serious that he should.
Should see him in person too. I saw him yesterday. So vascular, tall, perfect technique.
Great mover, isn't he?
Oh, veins. I said to Moose in the first 100 metres of the workout when he ran off in front of us, I just said, check this bloke out. He looks like amazing.
I used to see him down at a park run here in Canberra when he was doing like triathlons, and he'd roll around there in like 15:50, like looking good. And you're like, how does that guy only run 15:50?
When he looks that good.
He just wasn't running like the volume, just didn't have the strength or the miles behind him. But yeah, he's a great mover.
Okay, so here's the opposite of your hit list. These people don't move that good, but they've run some decent times and you want to take them down. Is that what we're hearing?
Yeah, and they have done a hell of a job. I can tell you one of these guys named Ole Mikael, he have ran 67:03. It's still today for me, when I think about that race, it's hard for me to fall asleep. It is unbelievable that it's possible for a guy like that man to run 67:03. But yeah, I mean, if I run 68:03, I will be really happy. A big PB, and I'm still 1 minute behind him. So this hit list is also a list when all these people are laughing, but at the same time, I'm giving them a lot of credit.
Yeah, if you run...
You see a guy like Magnus Ashta, 67:43. This guy has zero talent, and he ran 2:20 also for the marathon.
It is a good sport like that, though, Kristian, where, as you said, you don't necessarily need a lot of talent to, improve and run some pretty decent times, whereas there's a lot of other sports out there that it doesn't matter how much hard work you put into it, you're never going to be that good, whereas you can actually do that in this sport.
Oh, yeah, you're talking to two guys, Croaks, who have done it. Me and Chris, got no talent compared to you. Look at us. We're going all right.
Please.
Done a couple of things.
Mate, I used to walk to school cross-country.
The guy with the most talent on your show, I think we all four are pretty honest that that's Croaks. But Croaks is older than you two and had his problems. But of course, Brady, you can run the same time as Julian. But Julian had probably be a smarter guy in the training. And also, back in the days, Julian did stuff that we have forgot about. He went to Boulder for altitude. He went to different camps. I mean, Julian at his A game, he did everything he could for running as fast as possible.
Pretty much a pro athlete, wasn't he?
Forgot about that.
But,
St. Moritz.
But at the same time, still today, it's hard for Australian people to run Julian's time. So, of course, he did one hell of a job, and he put out 3-4 years with really solid training. And also, he had the mindset of finding the right buttons the last 3-4 weeks before a marathon. I remember several times he took like 3 weeks before the race. He had 2-3 rest days. He did small stuff all the time that was spot on.
He might do something pretty special in 3 weeks as well.
Julia.
Yeah, we'll get to that maybe a bit later when I recap our workout yesterday, because I did run with him for about 25k yesterday, but we'll get to that. But tell us, we're only on Monday.
Tuesday.
Let's go to Tuesday.
It's hard with the hit list. You can imagine my Strava these days. If I run a shit race on Sunday, maybe I will be off Strava.
No, you will.
Maybe I'm gone.
You'll never be off Strava. So the double workout day, Tuesday.
Brady, can we say, what about how Christo gets 321 kudos for his jog to Bislett and 5 laps warm-up?
Yeah. He's got 14,000 followers. Have you seen the groups he's in, though? This is how he gets his followers, I think. You look at how many groups he's on his page. Like, he's in groups like Athletics Victoria, Steigen, Sunshine Coast Half Marathon. You don't even know where these places are.
I know more about Australia than I know about Sweden.
Probably, but there's no reason for you to be in Athletics Victoria Strava group.
I follow the sport in Australia, so I just joined the group. But let's move on. Tuesday we had the session, so 12 times 2 laps inside Bislett. Wanted to run around 3:25 pace. That means pretty much around marathon pace. So 1K repeats with 60 seconds rest around marathon pace should be around 2 millimoles. So I had 1.7 after 6. Felt fine. We ran a little bit faster. Then I had 2.5 after 12. So all in all, felt really good.
Okay, good.
But the Norwegian system is usually you go longer and slower in the morning and shorter and faster in the afternoon. So I have not done 100% what the other guys are doing. I will try to do that after Barcelona, but I needed some space now for just moving into the system, not going in too fast. So Bislett is the best place you can imagine for training. It's indoor, all people running the same direction, the temperature is perfect, and it's easy to follow along on the paces that you don't run too fast.
Okay.
And we were a big group together. We are training a big group together, 10 o'clock Tuesday and Thursday.
Had some Morton in there as well. Changed shoes throughout the workout.
Changed shoes before. So I had the Hoka Rocket X2. I have to say, I'm not sponsored by anyone, but I have to say Hoka has really stepped up. The last 2 shoes they have came out with, this Rocket X2 and this Cielo X1, is really, really good.
Really? We got a listener question on Patreon last week about how come we never speak about Hoka shoes. And it's just like really... I'm trying to think
They
of
are
that.
the number 1 brand in Norway.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think if we have any like elite marathoners that would wear those in a race.
I've never run in a pair.
Neither,
ever.
yeah. Just their presence. I think they're like got a niche kind of market here in Australia. The boys in the shoe shop would know more, but yeah, it doesn't seem to filter through.
2 years ago, they didn't have any good super shoes 2 years ago, but these shoes now are really good. And with spikes, I tell you, the Hoka spike now is crazy. The guy who won the Boston Indoor, he have it. Narve Noros, the guy who was third in the World Champion, he's on the Hoka shoes as well. I will probably say it's better than the Nike shoe. It's really, really good spike.
It really is a level playing field now, isn't it, with shoes?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what brand
you're
you're with.
It's so good to see. Even in the US trials this weekend, we saw all these different shoes. I think it was one girl, top 20 with Nike shoes. Really?
Just one in the whole top 20?
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that 4 years ago? It was like they're literally giving out their shoes because they're like, we've got an unfair advantage. Everyone can have a pair.
8 years ago. 8 years ago, Galen Rupp and Kipchoge was standing on the start line in Rio with the super shoes, and all other people had the normal shoes.
And no one even knew no one knew it was even a super shoe then.
Yeah, well, it's interesting now to think whether the result of that Olympics would have been different, because we now know how much of a difference those super shoes make compared to the traditional racing flats.
Well, they invented the shoe before they had the rule.
Yeah.
So you can say, oh, no, it still fits with the rule now, but the rule wasn't there because it didn't need to be.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the girls that ran the US trials that year, back in 2016, when Flanagan and the other girl that was coached, was Nike girls.
Yeah,
I don't think those girls will, Amy as well, they will probably not have been top 3 without the shoe.
It's
hard for people to realize that some girls might lost their career that year because of shoes. You can imagine in US, the US trials for the marathon, almost bigger than the Olympics.
So Des Linden also made that team, but I wonder who was 4th, 5th and 6th. Might look that up while we're talking.
If you were an Adidas runner, it was a nightmare for 3-4 years. Remember the Dubai Marathon, the Adidas guy that just took the Nike shoe and won the race in an Adidas singlet with the Nike shoe. Imagine how crazy this sport was some years ago. Nike had it all. And now, I will say it's an even playing field. It's so good to see that we are back where it started. And I saw the new test with the Alpha 3 compared to the Alpha 1. No chance at all. People are saying, and you saw with Conor Mantz, he was racing in the all Alpha 1. A guy like Galen Rupp, Alpha 1 prototype kind of shoe. So when Galen Rupp is running in the Alpha 1, you can imagine the Alpha 3 is probably not the same level for him.
Do you reckon, obviously they mustn't have anything in their contract, because it's not a great PR, experiment for Nike, their company they're running for, to say, hey, I'm going with the shoe that you guys invented 4 years ago, not the shoe that you invented, got released 2 weeks ago.
Maybe this is a little bit harsh to say, but I think Nike don't care at all about athletics anymore. One of the head bosses in Nike was a really big fan of the sport. When he quit the job, it seems like Nike was, fuck this athletics. There's no money here anymore. We need to sell shoes for normal people, and we just invest in football and basket.
Didn't they just cut their golf department to then to concentrate more on running though? To put their attention back.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think I heard that. It could be completely wrong though.
The only thing I know that is I saw that Nike is not selling shoes to normal people anymore, even in US. I mean, normal walking shoe in US is Hoka and Brooks. They have a big problem in Nike now with running and the sport of running, and maybe they don't care. Maybe all in all, this super shoe game is no money there.
Cara Goucher was 50 seconds behind.
She was in Nike as well.
Was she, or did she?
Nike athlete.
But did she change late in her career?
Yeah.
Was some trouble with Salazar, maybe it was before.
I don't think she was Nike at that stage. I reckon she'd left. But anyway.
If you go on Let's Run and you find a lot of posts.
Because she was very outspoken about it. About the super shoes. All right, Chriso, we're still on Tuesday morning.
Liam Adams and Sondre Moen was on the start line. They stood next to Galen, and Sondre is one of the biggest nerds you can imagine. He was a Nike athlete, one of the best people we have around. He had the old Zoom streak, and he was watching down 10 seconds before the start line, and he could see that Galen was running with some other shoes, and even Kipchoge. So you can imagine the state of mind there.
Yeah, that would suck if that's your company. All right, so that's your Tuesday morning. Good chat. Let's keep going. Tuesday afternoon, so your second session of the day.
Yeah, so instead of going with the standard Norwegian system, when I have done double days, I have done the second workout on the treadmill and I'm running uphill. So creating some kind of stimulus on the heart, but not that much on the legs. So running 6 times 6 minutes at 10% incline. I wanted to hit pretty much around the same as I had in the morning. So for this I had 1.6 millimole at 3 reps and 2.2 after 6. And this was one of my best 10% incline sessions. I did not feel that tired. Earlier when I started with this this 10% incline was a little bit heavier.
Okay. What did your heart rate get? Are you wearing heart rate on there? Like 10%,
Yeah, heart rate for
10%
everything.
incline.
It's only getting like max heart rate of like 152.
Really?
Yes, so it's really controlled. You can imagine if you take the heart rate average for a marathon, I will be between 160 and 165.
I just know 10% though. Sometimes I jog on my treadmill at the gym and put it on like 1.5. Is that when you put it up to 1.5? Does that mean 1.5%?
Yeah.
That
You
feels
put
like,
it to 10.
yeah, you put that to 10. Okay. Maybe
But this
harder
is
than
what
it
I
is.
will change. When I go with after Barcelona, I will go more with the Norwegian double system. But this is more like a coming into the system. This is an easy way in. I mean, I'm running 11 kilometers per hour to 11 and a half. So this is more like, this is base training. You breathe, but you are not that lactate. And you don't run fast, so you don't have any muscle problems.
Yeah. All right, next day.
So Wednesday, 1 hour 10 easy, was outside, just running where it was no ice, so it was pretty flat. And then in the afternoon, 40 minutes on the treadmill, and I put up some stats for January. It was a good 710K, 19 workouts, so all in all was a solid January. I don't know how many Ks you had for Brady, probably 750.
I could tell you. Yeah.
710 for me is okay. I mean, the biggest I've been is a little bit over 800, and I have some months of 750. But 710 is good.
That is good. It just gives me week by week. I don't even know how to see the whole month. I would have averaged like 165K, whatever that is. Oh, maybe less because I raced. Anyway, this is your week, mate. Don't worry about me.
Yeah. And Tuesday we went for a new session. So I wanted to have a tempo. So running inside in Bislett, wanted to have around 330 per pace. So went 31 laps inside, so almost 1 hour, 59 minutes and 19 seconds. Average 329. I had, 2.5 millimole after the session. And this is one of the hard stuff. When you're starting to go outside of the Ingebrigtsen systems, that is training toward a 5K, and you wanted to have this kind of system for running longer distances. There's not many people that have data. It's Andreas Arngren and Sondre Moen. That is the only two I know. So I wanted to have 1 hour steady pace. And 330 for me, probably, let's say I can run 225 for the marathon. 325 average. So this is 5 seconds slower than marathon pace. So was feeling relaxed, was taking drinks during the session. People were coming in and out. Some people ran 20 laps, took 1 lap break, joined the last 10. Some people ran 6 laps, took 1 lap off. So for me, this is good. You can see the heart rate average 153, so probably 10 beats lower than the average heart rate will be for a marathon. So it was a solid tempo. This is like a tempo that Croaks have done a lot of earlier. Just he ran faster because he was a 216 guy.
217. Don't give him that extra minute.
Endo used to do it over hills.
31 laps though. Mentally, that must be hard. Well, how many lanes is it? 2 lanes, the track?
But it's more like 4 lanes. It's no problem in there because you don't feel like you're running on a track. It's more like you feel like you're running on a bike path.
Okay.
And since it's easy to follow each lap, you know how fast you want to go each lap. People are coming in and out. It's easy with drinks on tables there. Everything is spot on. So it's at least 1 second a kilometer better place for running than outside this.
Are you worried about like muscle imbalances running around like in circles for an hour?
No, it's no bends there. It's like, it's 542.5 meters around there, and no, I'm not worried. People have been doing big stuff there for going to a marathon. A 216 guy, Andreas Schurset is his name, he will run Sevilla Marathon the week after Barcelona. Sometimes he have 60 laps in there.
Mm-hmm. There's got to be some kind of bend. You're going around in a circle.
But it's not, a short track.
I know what you mean. Like it's just
You have
gradual.
built up.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
Yeah. I
Of
get
course,
you.
I mean, since you're running 542 meters in a circle, of course it bends, but they are not built up.
Not tight, not banked. Yeah.
No.
All right, next up.
So that was a good one. No session in the afternoon. Friday was 40 minutes in the morning, 40 minutes in the afternoon, and then this
hang on.
Saturday.
You've got a daily double here. You average the same pace in the morning as the afternoon. Did you know that? You went exactly the same.
Treadmill.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Of course I know. I put the same on the treadmill every single time.
Sorry. That's not a daily double if you're controlling those kind of factors. All right, and then the weekend.
No, and then we had, the weekend. The Saturday we had a session outside, went 12 times 1K slow, 1K fast with 90 seconds recovery. It was a little bit windy outside, and I wanted a hard session for like a little bit of blowing the cylinders before the race. So one of the guys here was Sondre. It was a big group of good guys. So we went, let's see, 3:23, 3:06, 21:06, 18:03, 14:04, 11, 2:57, 13, 2:55.
Oh, Chriso. Got moving.
But this is GPS, and this fast ones is with tailwind. And I was running behind 3 people.
Still straight line though. The GPS be pretty accurate.
It's also.
50.
I was just going to say, it's also impressive because, like, you haven't been doing any speed. And this is the thing I found when I was training this way as well, is you think, like, I'm not doing a whole heap of speed work. Like, I was maybe doing some short hills and some 400s, like, no faster than 5K pace. But, like, those fast reps are almost as fast as you go when you're in, like, your best shape.
Yeah, we can say this every single episode, but running 5K pace, or let's say for me 3K pace, have nothing to do with speed. Running 250 is endurance, and it's endurance only. If you want to go with speed work, you don't need speed work to train for a 5K. You just need a hell load of volume and build a big base of fast pace. So what you said, Croaks, I feel the same. I went into this session. I have almost not done anything else than 3:30 to 3:20 pace. We had some sessions with 20 times 500, around 3:10 pace in the last 4 or 5 weeks. But the only reason you can run fast is because you have a better, you are a stronger runner. You don't need to go out and run 26, 27 seconds for a 200 meter. You don't need that kind of training.
Yeah. Good session.
Yeah, it was good, but I had probably 50 DMs from people asking if we had lost the mind once again. 1 week before your race, you kill yourself once again, blah, blah, blah. So, as I told you guys, this Strava community, it give and take. Some days I just want to turn it off myself.
Hey, the proof will be in the pudding next week.
Oof. It's the reason why I'm here the week before the race.
Hey, you're looking good. If you can do a workout like that, hopefully, what's 68? 0, 0.
68:30 is 3:15.
Yeah. If you can roll those paces for 12 by 1K.
And then on Sunday, I know Croaks like this. Why don't you, what you want with a long run, 7 days before a half marathon? I went 60 minutes and 60 minutes only, and then I went to bed.
Good. Yeah, I don't think you need to do a long run, like a super long run the week before a race.
No, I know. You said several times to Brady also. You give this to your people 7 days before a 10K race. Why give people 2 hours? What they going to do with 2 hours?
I usually cut it back to 90 minutes before an A race.
Yeah,
90 minutes is okay.
Yeah, I'm on the 90 minutes as well.
It's funny because you're saying, you can't get that much fitter, the week out from the race, but you've just also banged 12 by 1K as 8 days out from the race.
It's something about just have one session. It's almost like you just one session when you can breathe a little bit harder. I don't know what happened fitness-wise. I don't think you get a lot, but something is happened. I don't know what.
rust buster kind of workout. Monofartlek's good for that. I like that 10 days out from a hard race, just to like teach you to hurt a bit and like just got to run hard and fast.
It's a big difference with 60 and 90 seconds standing recovery for 1K repeats as well. So a lot of people can run fast with 90 seconds standing. So all in all, I had 139K for the week. This week, probably like 100, including the race, maybe 105. I will go to Valencia Friday, and the race is 9 o'clock Sunday morning.
Are you racing Barcelona or Valencia?
Barcelona Half.
I say flight of...
Sorry if I said Valencia.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. You fly direct to Barcelona. Yeah.
So half of the Norwegian country is there.
Yeah.
500 people probably.
Do they take their lactate test and do it straight after the race? Get a quick one?
I did that after one 10K race. I had 11 and a half.
Yeah, okay. You know you're
I
working.
wonder what we have. That kind of data would have been fun. If Crocs can be on the finish line with the measurements and he can stick the finger. He can start with Candy, running 57 minutes. Try to see what Candy have.
Would have been good at Albert Park yesterday, I reckon, Croaks, taking a few people's lactates. A few people working a bit hard. Harder than they thought they were working. Anyway, tell us about your week, Croaks. Don't be afraid to whistle through it. I reckon, man, you might whistle through our weeks, considering we've been recording for an hour and a half, but we're only really 45 minutes in.
Yeah, so Tuesday was a session down at the lake. It was 3 sets of a 3-minute rep, a 2-minute rep, and a 1-minute rep. So having a minute recovery between the 3 and the 2, the 2 and the 1, and then having 90 seconds recovery after the 1 minute before going back to the 3. Morning session, like first set, like I almost was ready just to jog back to the start, because it felt like I ran 3:13 for the 3-minute rep, 3:07 for the 2, and 2:59. And for the 3 and the 2-minute rep, I felt like I was absolutely sprinting. Like
really?
Yeah. Just something about the mornings where a 20-minute warm-up, change shoes, and a few strides. I don't know if it's an age thing, but it just doesn't cut it. Like my perceived effort, like my heart rate's probably not too bad, but my perceived effort for those were just so hard. And then the session got easier. So then the second set was 3:12, 3:01, 2:56. So by the 2-minute rep, I'm then starting to feel like that 3:01 was easier than the 3:07 on the first set. And then I went 3:10, 2:59, 2:49. So, like it was a pretty good session in the end. It's just I'm not ready to go at that time in the morning for the faster reps. And it's sort of
a reason why the Norwegian system is the longer, slower in the morning.
Yeah, 100%. And like I think for me, like this stuff now at my age, like these paces, I find they just bang me up. Well, not so much. I don't get sore from them, but I just feel really fatigued from a faster session. Whereas a couple of weeks ago, I said I was down the coast doing those 3-minute reps with Matt Johnson, and it was more in that sort of Norwegian of, every rep felt super controlled, finished it, could have done, I was probably running 3:15s for the K reps, and pulled up really well the next day. Energy levels were really high. So anyway, that was Tuesday. Wednesday.
What do you give yourself these days, Croaks? 15 flat and 68 flat for the half?
No. Like I wouldn't run 15 flat. I reckon maybe 15:30.
Faster than 30.
Well, I don't know. I'd need really good conditions. Maybe one of your like tailwind reps or something. I don't think
indoor track.
Yeah, like I don't think I'd go much quicker than 15:30. Anyway, hopefully when I go to Melbourne next week, I get the all clear to maybe do a race at some point. Wednesday, 90 minutes, 4:18s out at Mulligan's. And then Thursday was my first day back at work. So I didn't actually run to the afternoon. And this, because I haven't been doing many afternoon runs at all, mainly because I haven't been working. So it's like, we'll get it done in the morning. Plus the weather's quite hot. But I went out this afternoon and it was like 30 degrees. But the heat actually didn't bother me because my body felt so good at running at like 4:30 in the afternoon compared to like 8 in the morning that, biomechanically and it was actually quite an enjoyable run. Like I averaged 4:19s. The heat really didn't bother me, and it was enjoyable because the first 3K wasn't a grind like it normally is in the mornings. Friday, we were actually out at Stromlo, the cross-country course, for a bit of a session because the people that are training for the marathon, they were doing some 3-minute hill reps up the road to Mount Stromlo. And people that weren't doing the marathon, I thought they don't really need to be doing that. So we did a 12-minute tempo just on the 2K loop, 2.5-minute jog after that, and then 5 by 2 minute on with a 1 minute pretty solid jog. Did this with Sam Hopper. He was down from Sydney, had some like ASICS shoes there to like wear test and stuff. And like the GPS is a bit out on this, but I reckon I was running probably 320, between 320 and 325 for the 12-minute rep on the grass over a few little hills. And then the 2-minute reps were probably like 305 to 310, like depending on the terrain, whether I was running an uphill or a downhill. So average 323s for the whole session on the GPS, but it would have been more like probably 328s on the actual course for that session. So
you with a heart rate strap?
I did wear my heart rate strap for that.
You can see the difference with the 12 minute in the beginning. You have 159 average, and the last 2 minutes you have 172. So what do you give yourself for a half marathon for the average heart rate? 170, 165? Yeah,
probably mid to high 160s. Yeah. Like it was definitely a harder session. Like it was definitely a solid session by the end of it. Yeah. Like the tempo I think could have been probably a little bit even slower. And then I could have maybe punched the 2 minutes a bit more with like probably a slow jog. I think the jog recoveries in between ended up being pretty solid. Because you know what it's like when you go from running like low 3-minute Ks, even running 4-minute Ks feels pretty slow, but sometimes you're not recovering, as well as you should.
Getcha.
Yeah, it does. Whereas if I was, running 4:30s to 5 minutes, turn it more into a shuffle, I definitely feel better on each of those 2-minute reps.
That's where on our coaching thing, sorry Chris, so I'll put in there like 2 minutes jog recovery, super slow. Purpose of this is to get your heart rate down. Like I don't care if it's 7 minute a K pace. Like this is the purpose here. It's not going to look as sexy on Strava when you're floating the recoveries or jogging a bit quicker, but the purpose of that 2 minutes is to get your heart rate to drop as much as possible before you go again.
Yeah. And I find as well, you probably need to slow it down even more so when it's warm because in the heat, your heart rate just doesn't come down.
Did you put the ASICS shoes on?
No, I wore the original Saucony Endorphin Pros.
Oh, great shoe choice when you're with the ASICS big dog in Australia.
I warmed up in the Super Blast though.
I would have been happy.
I thought that'd be good for that grass though, because they're like a bit of a lower sort of profile shoe. And then Saturday, 423s out at Mulligan's, 10.3K. And then Sunday was actually really fun. We had like 8 guys, 7 guys and Leanne Pompiani. So there was a couple of guys down from Wollongong, a couple of guys that I run with. Sam Hopper was still in town. So, yeah, we did 2 hours, 4:12s. This is probably the best I've felt on a long run since sort of getting back into it. So it was just over, 28.7K for a week of 102. So I think that's 5 weeks in a row of 100K.
Hey,
it's amazing how good you can train with only 100K.
Yeah, I don't feel
natural
like
talent,
I'm.
Chriso.
Nah, like I don't. Yeah. I don't feel like I'm actually going like amazingly well. Like I think I need another 20 odd K. I'm going.
You have 1 day of rest. You have midweek long. You have the long run over hills.
All you're missing is doubles.
Sessions.
Yeah.
The only thing you are missing here is 50K of jog.
I'm ticking a lot of boxes. I just need to go and, I suppose, test myself because I just don't really know where I'm at the moment. And as I said, I could probably afford to just go back to a couple more of those Norwegian-style sessions because I am doing, like, both my sessions recently, other than that one down the coast, they've probably been just at the higher end, whereas I think I could maybe extend the length of the sessions a little bit and just make it a little bit more controlled. And I think my fitness would probably progress a little bit better.
Give us a Leanne Pompiani update.
Oh, yeah. So back running. She's going to be doing the Maury Plant 5K. So her focus now is on the track.
Yep.
For the rest of the Olympic campaign.
Back. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think she's still, she's not like 100% pain-free, but like way better than she was, and seems to be able to, get through what she needs to do to be able to train for 5K.
She did the whole 2 hours with you?
Nah, she did 22K, so she did, first 30, what'd she do? Hour 33. Yeah, she averaged 4:16s for that, so... Yeah.
But if you look at the ranges of pace you have in those 2 sessions, you have the 12 minutes tempo in the beginning around 3:20 or something, and you have the 1 minute where you are close to 2:50. So you are taking a lot of boxes. Even the session is maybe a little bit on the low side on the volume. Mm-hmm. You have a good mix of range here as well.
Yeah. So, I'm in a good spot. Put this way, I'm fitter right now than I was this time last year, and also the same time 2 years ago. And like last year, just before Gold Coast, before the heart stuff, like I was in really, really good shape. And 2 years ago, I ran like 30-30 at Sydney 10 and ran that 2:23 at Gold Coast. And I'm ahead of where I was both those years. So yeah, I'm in a good spot. I just hope to get the all clear to train a bit more properly and do some races.
Then you'll start writing a list, I reckon. These are some names you're going to take in the second half of 2024.
This hit list from Croaks.
Just give us one name, Croak. Who would be one name you'd like to come back and beat throughout 2024? Like, realistically, who are you eyeing off?
Maybe I'll try and get back. Maybe I'll try and get back the Mulligan Strava segment.
Oh yeah. What was that guy that took that off you?
Chapo, Michael Chapman.
Yeah,
he was running with us yesterday for the first 40 minutes as well.
Only first 40 minutes.
Yeah, he went a different way.
Oh, okay.
40 minutes.
Thought you dropped him 40 minutes in.
No.
I'll whistle through this week, fellas.
Before you start, Brady,
go.
Have you ever in your life been fitter than you are now?
Me?
Yeah.
Very good question. I was pretty fit going into Valencia. Because I feel I've built fitness throughout this.
It's a yes or no?
Proof will be in the pudding.
Don't know. Well, I'm hoping I run quicker than I did in Valencia, but that doesn't necessarily mean I was fitter than I was before Valencia. Valencia, I had like 10k PB, half marathon PB. I remember running 65 high at Burnley Half Marathon, like in the middle of like 180k week. Like I was fitter in the 12 weeks before the marathon block. But yeah, I think I don't know, maybe some summer games. Not sure. I was worried though Monday, Tuesday, fellas, because I had a sore knee. Nothing's got me so far in this marathon block, and I thought, this is my little niggle to come out of this. So because I rarely get injured too. Like if I get a 2 out of 10 pain, I'm just like anti-inflams, ice, book in for treatment. Like just want to knock it on the head ASAP, so it doesn't turn into like a 2 week, a month kind of injury and make it worse. So I just jogged 30 minutes in the morning on Monday at 4:57s, so super slow. Pain was probably like 2 out of 10. Like if I had to run a marathon, I was like, I could get through, I could deal with this pain, but I really wanted to just knock it over. So so I had treatment on Tuesday, but on Tuesday morning it felt a lot better. I did 55 minutes at 4:31s. And it was more just like awareness on Tuesday, not so much pain. And then I saw my masseuse, Jay Cord, his name is. He treats racehorses, Croaks. Do you have racehorsing in Norway, Kristian? Like people bet on and stuff?
People.
Yeah.
Rich people, they are in that kind of industry.
So he treats people and like horses. So he treats like, racehorses to win races and money and stuff like that. So he's
prescribed some horse drugs, did he?
No, he didn't. But he used to be a butcher as well. So he's got like these big hands, and it was a painful like 60 minutes on the table. But he was very confident. He's like, "Nah, I've loosened this off. You're good to go." Just like, because I wanted to do like a little fartlek on the Wednesday, and I was gonna double, but I'm like, nah, just give it an extra.
You were gonna double Monday and Tuesday?
I was gonna double Tuesday because it felt pretty good Tuesday in the morning, and then I was like, nah, no way. If one of my athletes messaged me and said, "Hey, I think I'm all good. I reckon I can sneak a double in," I would just be like, "No, don't do that double." And I had this big going into the 4th week out from the race. Like I always like that to be one of my bigger weeks mileage. So I was like, if I'm only jogging, 6k on the Monday and then, 11k or 12k on the Tuesday, it's like mucking up with my plan. But I just had to say, hey, don't worry about that plan. Just worry about getting on top of this in these 48 hours, which I did. So I mowed the lawns instead on Tuesday afternoon. Wednesday, did warm up, felt absolutely nothing in the knee, and then I did a fartlek where it was 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 5 minutes, and with 1 minute jog between, so 25 minutes in total. So a really small workout considering in a marathon block, but I just didn't want to overdo it. So I did the first 5 minutes at 3:09, the 4 minutes at 3:06, the 3 minutes at 3 minute pace, the 2 minutes 2:57, the 1 minute 2:48, and then the last 5 minutes at 3:07. Great bang for your buck, 25-minute workout, that one. 8K in the treadmill in the afternoon. Thursday, I was back at work on the chalk croaks, first day in the classroom, so I was out early, 15K at 4:11s in the morning, and then 8K on the treadmill. And then Friday, I was kind of like chasing Ks, and I also didn't want to hit the bigger workout on Sunday with too much freshness, so I'm like, I want to try to put some Ks in here. I did 22K at 3:59. But I just kept the heart rate under 140. So I was like, yeah, just trying to put some fatigue in the legs without overdoing it. Then did 8K in the afternoon. So that was a big day, like 30K worth of running and a day at school. Saturday was 16K in the morning, 4:41s and some strides. Then I drove to Melbourne, met up with Moose. We stayed just next to Albert Park there. He always gets a bit nervous when he sees me in person. I don't know if it's the 2 stall sashes or the Lululemon contract or what it is, but yeah, he always seems a bit on edge when I first meet him in person. So I always try to make a couple of jokes, just try to get him to relax a bit. So he relaxed a bit, and then we just went for a 7K jog around Albert Park at 4:33s, and then went out for dinner. He fitted right in down at St Kilda there. Yeah, some interesting cats getting around that area of Melbourne.
Why Melbourne? Why don't go to the Surf Coast?
Because Mizuno were putting on this. Yeah, I'm not sure why it was in Melbourne. I think maybe more listeners in Melbourne. So I think there were about like 65, 70 people registered. I didn't do a count on the day, but there seems like a lot of people there. It was a really good vibe. Mizuno did a really good job setting this up, like drink tables, wear testing stuff. At the end, there was like Calippos and chocolate milk and Gatorades and stuff in eskies, bottle of water, things like that. So massive thanks to Tommy and the team at Mizuno there for, making cool. Like, training's so boring, especially what I'm used to by myself. So to have, like, people setting up tables and 65, 70 other people around was, great atmosphere. The workout was 8K, 6K, 4K, 2K with 2K float between the 8K and the 6K, 1.5K float between the 6 and the 4, and then 1K float between the 4 and the 2. So it comes in at 24.5K in total.
Julian putting up the session?
Yeah, there's everyone. Yeah, so everyone, Moose set this session, and then everyone pretty much did it. Like, there was a whiteboard there to write your workouts on, and a lot of people just opted for this one. Like Dave Ridley, Reese Edwards, Michael Marantelli. So yeah, like Ali, she had her like group going as well. So it was pretty cool to see everyone stick to the same workout 3 weeks out.
Julian is giving sessions the same day, or you knew about this?
No, we knew about this one in advance. Well, wanted to say it on the show last week, so he told us, last Monday, so we could announce it on the show. I'm not sure if he would have done that the same way if it wasn't going to be like a public training kind of session, but the Mango boys went off the front early, Dave Ridley and Reese Edwards. We didn't see them pretty much after a K, and then we didn't see them till the finish. I think they were running like maybe 3:10, maybe even quicker pace than that. We did the 8K at 3:17s, the 6K at 3:17s, the 4K at 3:15s, and the 2K at 3:11s. I think it came out at like 3:20 for 24.5K. It was fun. Went so fast. Like, just to really, once you knock that 8K over, you're like, this session's like manageable. Floats around about like 3:35 average. Practice drinks. Got a bit of, I probably got the most I've got in actually. I mixed the drink mix with the 90 gram gel croaks. So I didn't put all that pressure on trying to get that 90 gram down in the first 21K. It was like, just go a bit slower on that. But I had, I missed one of my drinks actually, which was good practice. Accidentally picked up one of Moose's. I think it was Moose's. So we were sharing drinks around and stuff. Everyone was in a good mood. No last rep heroes. Just sat in. I probably did the least work. I was in a group with Michael Marantelli and Moose the whole way, and I probably did the less leading just because I didn't want to get called out for having a big ego or having no discipline or whatever else Moose makes up about me on Road to Osaka.
the picture you put out, you're in front.
Yeah, I really didn't lead for that long, but that's when the photo got snapped. There's some good video footage though. We do, there's just 2 sets of rules for different people. So the end, we're about to start the last 2K rep, and Moose is like, I'm not going any quicker than 3:15s, no quicker than 3:15s. You guys can race yourself if you want, but I'm not going any quicker than 3:15s. So I was like, hey, I'll take 3:17s, because I think 3:17s is what, I'm really liking that pace at the moment. And I think if the weather's good and there's a good pack going 3:17s, that might be the pace I go out at Osaka. So I'm like, I'm not kicking this home. 3:17s I'm all good with. So then, and Marantali's just I'll stay in the pack. So then Moose leads it out and runs the first K in 3:10. Now, if that was me, I would get absolutely slammed, hammered. Here's his last rep hero, yada, yada, yada. And then I think the last K was 3:12. And Marantali pushed up next to him, and then he pushed up a step ahead again. So, I just chilled at the back, just having a good time. Then drove home to a chook out.
3:15 is 2:17 flat.
Is it? Yeah. I was taking into account it's probably, 15, 17 degrees.
You're running with the heart rate strap?
Yeah, I averaged 161, I think, for the whole workout, so the heart rate was in a good spot. I had the armband, but the armband was accurate. I felt like 3:15s was... I felt like we were going a bit quicker, but there was a couple of times when I was sitting in and we were running 3:20, 3:21s, and I'm like, this feels too slow. And I was the only one that had my lap Ks on. So I would actually tell the boys, I'm like, hey, we're 90 seconds in here. This K is looking like a 3:22. You're going to pick up a bit. Yeah. And that's what Moose said at the end. Is you got to learn to settle at that though. If it does feel that touch too slow, that's what you want to be feeling for the first 20, 25K. Good one. Drove home and then jumped on the treadmill for 7K in the afternoon. 164K for the week. That's, all the big stuff's kind of behind us now, which is good, which is nice.
As you're listening to this show, you're probably training for a race. But how dialed in is your race nutrition? Precision Fuel and Hydration has a free online planner that you can use to work out how much carbs, sodium and fluid you need to perform at your best. Then they have a range of fuel and electrolyte products to make it real easy to hit your numbers. Brady regularly uses their resealable 90-gram gels on his longer runs, and the boys training for Osaka are working with their sports science team to dial in their strategies for race day. They also work with a long list of top runners, including 4-time Olympian Lisa Waitman, Hayden Hawkes, and regular guest on the show, Izzy Bat-Doyle. Click the link in the show notes to use the planner to personalise your strategy for your next race. Then use the code INSIDE to get 15% off your first order of fuel and electrolytes and help support the show. Patreons can get 20% off using the code shared in our Patreon-only shows. Shop now at precisionhydration.com. Now let's get back to the show.
Should we take some Patreon supporters, Croaks?
Let's do it. I've got Daniel Mitras from Heidelberg in Victoria. His Strava's locked down, but I think he's run 19:01 at the Warringal Parklands Park Run, 40:11 at Run Melbourne 10K, 83 minutes at the 2023 Gold Coast Half, and 2:58 at the 2022 Melbourne Marathon. Also think he might be a learning and development advisor at Pitcher Partners, which is an accounting and business advisory place.
Okay. Thank you, Daniel, for your support. Chriso, you're reading out blue stuff tonight. Do you want to thank a Patreon supporters for us?
Yeah. Scott McKelvey from Glasgow. Is that Glasgow over here in Europe, or you have a Glasgow down there?
No,
we don't have
that's
one.
Europe. Yeah.
Scotland, is it?
Yep, Scotland.
Yeah. Runs for the Shettlestone Harriers and ran all of his PBs in 2023. So this is a man on the up. 5K 16:59, 10K 35:37, half 1:17:48, and the marathon 2:41:43. So
which one are you taking?
Malaga Marathon, if you go to Valencia, I give him 5 minutes there. But the 10K is probably the best. No, I'm not sure. 35, 37 or 17 flat, maybe 17 flat.
I reckon the 241. I reckon the 241's actually not bad.
Not off a 77. Oh no, it's a 77 high. Yeah, you could be right. What we do know about Scott is they're even PBs.
Yeah.
All 4 of them nearly match up. Thanks, Scott, for your support. I'm going to thank Craig Drakeford from Rowville in Victoria. He's part of the mod squad down there in Melbourne. He's got a 5K PB of 17:32. He did that during a 10K time trial around Albert Park, where he ran 35:57. This was 2021 during that COVID period. 86 minutes at the 2019 Melbourne Half Marathon and 2:59. So got under that magical 3-hour barrier at the 2022 Melbourne Marathon. That then qualified him for Boston, which he ran last year. He works for PFM Corp, which is Customer Focused Sensitive Freight and Warehousing Experts. Here we go, Crooks. This is what we need for our distributing when we start selling the lactate tests. He might come in handy, Craig, where he is the Regional General Manager for ACT, New South Wales and Victoria. He's got half the country, Crooks.
Yeah.
Smart guy. Big title. Man. Thanks, Craig, for your support of the Inside Running podcast. All people that support us on Patreon, a massive thank you to you. We're an independent media source here at the Inside Running podcast, so we can say what we want, but we're not supported by any of the big Athletic Australia brands or anything like that Australia-wide. So we're massively the show of the people. We are massively grateful for the support we get on Patreon to be able to keep producing independent running media every single week. So if you like what we do, you can check us out on patreon.com/Inside Running Podcast.
And Brady, I just jump in. I stitched up there. It was actually the Adelaide Marathon where he broke 3 hours, which qualified him for Boston.
Oh,
you read it out right. I was just like, I'm pretty sure I saw that yesterday. It was Adelaide. Yeah, it was Adelaide. Sorry, Craig.
It's rare that I read things out right though, Croak, so I apologise. Like getting a few of these names wrong, which I'm about to do. This is Marugame Half Marathon, the big half marathon. We're getting excited about this over in Australia because we had Brett Robinson in action. We had Sinead potentially in action. We were thinking Ryan Gregson was going around. Sondre Moen, he excites us over here in Australia. Kristian, we take credit for Sondre because we know he's your boy. Charlotte Purdue, we pretty much take credit for her as well. So all eyes were on Marugame on Sunday. It was won in a course record on the women's side by Dolphine Omare. She ran 66.07. Sheila Chepkarui was second in 67.47. And a high scorer, Caroline Kariba, was third in 67.36. Imagine what you were doing in high school, fellas. Imagine running 67.36. Do you know where she's from, Crooks? Caroline?
No, I'm not sure.
How good's that? Charlotte Purdue was fourth. She ran 68.02. So that would be a PB for Charlotte too, I reckon.
PB.
Yeah. She been under 69?
No, I don't think so. I think she had 69 something when Diver ran 68 there last time they were down. But Charlotte ran a phenomenal race in Berlin, low 220. Have been doing a hell of a job, that girl, for many, many years. I tell you, in the list with no talent people, Charlotte Purdue for me, she's top 5 European girls that really is doing one hell of a job. And to see her run 222 and 68.02 now is really good to see. That is not many girls that are doing the job she's doing.
Oh, and the adversity. She's been injured a lot of times and come back.
She ran 68.23 at Marugame in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 4 years ago.
But it sounds like she's been around for a long time. Like, she's only 32. Like, when we're talking about marathoners, like 32 is not old. She's got heaps of running ahead of her.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in Doha watching Moose for the World Championship. Purdue was also there. She had a shit day in the warm condition and dropping out. But yeah, I have to say I have really, really big respect for Charlotte.
So in the men's, Richard Etir, he won in 59.32. This race is always like one in between 59.30 and like 60 dead, isn't it? Like when what did Sondre win it in that year? Chris Oak, you remember? 59.57 or something?
Was first time for him for the half year.
Oh, really? Oh, no, I'm thinking when he won Fukuoka in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the marathon.
Yeah. Alexander Matuso, he was second in 59.37. Amos Bett was third in 60.11. Sondre was fourth in 60.11 also. So those two guys came in together. Brett Robinson was 19th in 61.27. Weird seeing a 19th next to the name of like Brett Robinson. Wouldn't have finished 19th. Oh, maybe World Cross last year. Would have been a similar, what was he, about 27th or something like that at World Cross.
Yeah.
Tim Vincent, our man from Road to Gold Coast last year, he was not sure on position because this went super deep. He ran 62.01. Ryan Gregson, 170th in 66.20. Alex Harvey, that name might ring a bell because he won that Geelong 10K that Moose and I did a few weeks ago. He ran 63.59. And Sinead did not start. So we're hearing like general tiredness from Sinead. I haven't heard that from Sinead. I'm hearing people talking about Sinead telling me it was general tiredness.
Do you know anything, Chriso? You're the one that talks to Nick.
Yeah, I'm talking to Nick, but I have not been talking a lot about Diver. But I mean, it's the Olympic year. Diver is not getting younger. These Olympic Games. I mean, if Diver is on the start line in the Olympic Games in LA in 2028, I don't know what to say. So this might be the last Olympic game, and if she's training in Melbourne a lot with Charlotte, maybe they have been pushing a little bit hard. Maybe like Brady said in the beginning of his week, had a small something in the knee. Maybe Diver caught up some small stuff and they just wanted to be on the safer side. This Olympic game for Diver is a big one, and yeah, Diver is sort of a runner also that people knows about. And of course, yes, she's getting older, so this probably is the last Olympic game. I cannot see her making the Olympic game 4 years from now. So it's February, it's a long way to August. I think they were just sensible.
Yeah, I did see, I think somewhere as well, that Brett, like, did a guy drop his gel and then like pretty much stop in the pad? Did you seen footage, Chriso? And then that, I think Brett got tangled up in that a bit, so I'm not sure if that I saw his splits on Strava and he just gradually slowed down, so I'm not sure. Didn't look like he was injured or anything, but just at the further the race went, the slower his pace got.
Yeah, he did. I'd have the phone. Brett said he stopped completely, so he just ran into him and then lost the pack, didn't find the rhythm, pace got slower and slower, so probably did not have his best day. I don't know. I watched Brett's training on Strava. I maybe thought it was 60-30, around that kind of shape.
Do you know much about Ryan Gregson, 66-20? Like, that suggests that something's gone wrong there.
I have no idea. Maybe he's taking care of the kids while the big athlete is training.
Stay-at-home dad life's got him, you reckon?
And I have no idea. I just saw he had been to camp. I mean, some days the marathon, you just have to, or the half marathon, you just have to finish the race, jog it in. If you had a shit race, you don't want to lose 2-3 weeks in training, just, okay, I pulled the pin.
He is one bloke that you haven't seen too much from Camp Life. We went hard on Camp Life last week, Croaks, with social media, but he's not uploading every run of the week.
Yeah, copped a bit of backlash, didn't we?
No, shit, we got in some trouble for that. We have never got in trouble as much without Moose, ever. Like, he's meant to be the controversial one. We're copping shit left, right and centre when he's not here. Anyway.
But Charlotte Purdue's boyfriend, Clarky, he also ran a big piece, 61.52 or something. First one under 62. So was a good run for him as well.
He's been in Australia. We'll take credit for that one as well. Any other news about that, fellas, before we go to US Olympic trials, marathon trials, Croaks?
No, I think that covers it. Yes, the US marathon trials were on early hours of Sunday morning here, which was a shame because I reckon this is an event that I would love to watch live. So in the men's, Conor Mantz got the win in 2:09.05. His training partner, Clayton Young, was second in 2:09.06. So they pretty much ran the last few miles together, helped each other out. I think Clayton was starting to struggle a little. I know it was Conor was starting to feel pretty ordinary at one point, and Clayton just said to him, hey, just stick with me, which is pretty cool, like having your training partner there in the last few miles of, Olympic trials, knowing that, you pretty much like sewn up your spot for the Olympics. Leonard Korir was third in 2:09.57. Now, he's not guaranteed for the Olympics yet because the US on the men's side only have two guys that have actually run the standard. So US only have 2 spots in the men's, and it's quite fitting that Connor Mantz and Clayton Young were the 2 guys that actually had the standard. So it's good that they've booked their ticket. Leonard Korir now has to wait to see whether he either goes and runs the time somewhere or just makes it through on ranking points. Galen Rupp was 16th in 2:14. Chriso, Galen, is he done?
I give credit to Rupp. He finished the race. He puked on the finish line. He did not stop. I will not say Rupp is not done, but run 2:06 again? I don't know. I think we will see him in Chicago.
Yeah.
I don't think he's done. Olympic Games is in LA 4 years from now. Rupp is still one of the biggest guys in US. I can see Rupp coming back.
No, he's not going to the Olympics in LA.
Yeah. We will be talking 4 years from now.
No,
Slab?
Yeah, you want to put a slab business? He is going to cash in. He will cash in major marathons in the US for the next 2 or 3 years. He'll do New York and Boston and Chicago, and he will cash in with his name and his medals, and then he'll just exit the sport, and you won't hear of him. Similar to Australia, Michael Shelley.
Enough money. Rupp have been on the unlimited contract with Nike for 20 years. He was in the Olympic Games in 2008. Money is not the issue for Rupp.
You know, he won
Training
Zatopek.
and staying injury-free is the issue.
He was still at college when he won that.
Come over and won Zatopek one year.
Yeah.
Rupp will be there on the line in LA.
Can we talk about Clayton Murphy? Like, I feel like Connor Mantz gets all the publicity and obviously like the way more talented junior. But this guy ran the time at Chicago, which was a bit of a surprise. I think at the trials last time, he came like 140th or something like that. I know he had a fall when he raced in a marathon somewhere as well. Like, he pretty much let Connor Mantz win. Connor Mantz was struggling with a couple miles to go. And I was reading this Let's Run article on him today. He was like, this is a quote, young with a couple miles to go, Connor said to me, I'm not feeling very well. And so I just said, stick right on me. Even though I might have been feeling better, I just wanted to take every step of the way with Connor over the last couple of miles. Young said, that's how it worked out. I wouldn't change it for the world. Connor is the guy who has pulled me this entire build day in, day out. In practice, he works hard and he deserved that just as much as I do. So he pretty much let his, like, it was 80,000 US plus 15,000 bonus for the, I'm not sure if they split that in any way, but yeah, let his training partner get the win, and he was celebrating the whole last like 400, 500 metres, and Mantz was cooked and just needed to get to the finish line. I love that from Clayton Young. I'd expect similar if me and you were in a marathon together, Croaks, when that kind of money was up on the line, and you just let me take the W.
Well, I reckon sometimes, things are more important than money, and I reckon not that I'll ever experience it, but imagine that, a couple of 100 metres to go, even like a K to go, knowing that you're going to go to the Olympics and you're there with your training partner, like the money wouldn't even be sort of in my mind, I don't reckon. I'd be just thinking, how good's this?
It would be in your mind. I know what you're laughing at.
Dream come true for Clayton Young. There.
Actually, on money, Moose has got some receipts to send through to you from the weekend as well. Okay. What was I going to say? Oh, in the Alpha Fly 1, Mantz, we spoke about that. So was Rupp. They both got the same coach, who I think you guys might be able to correct me. Did Young
Ed Icestone?
Yeah. Did Young go to the same college as Mantz?
They did. Yep.
Yeah. So they went to college together, and then they've both stayed with their college coach. He was a 2-time Olympian as well and 2-10 marathoner. It's just an amazing story, which you kind of expect from American marathoning because everything's bigger over there. But then the big surprise was the women's.
Putting up everything on Strava as well. And this is not the Norwegian system. This is die-hard marathon training.
They are two of the best followers. I actually commented on Connor Mantz's today because he wrote this really nice recap, and I was just like, great recap. I felt like the biggest fanboy over here in Australia because it was really, really good. He recapped the whole kind of race. So we might, Ross, if we can find that for the show notes, that would be amazing.
Another amazing story, Brady, as you said, was the women's. So a lady on debut, Fiona O'Keefe, won the race, 2:22.10, beating Emily Sisson, 2:22.42, and Dakota Lindworm, who's part of the Minnesota Distance Elite Squad, was third in 2:25.31. So both Fiona and Dakota are Puma athletes. Sarah Hall was 5th, 2:26.06. Lindsay Flanagan 8th, 2:26.25, and Des Linden was 11th in 2:28. So Fiona ran away pretty much from the field over the final 8 miles. Which is pretty incredible. Like, one, to win the trial, but to do it on debut and to do it in that sort of time, she's obviously got a pretty bright future ahead of her.
Did you say it was a trials record as well?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it was a trials record. So, yeah, I woke up, not sure what you guys were like. Chris, I'm not even sure what your time zone was like, but I woke up and was just like, I don't know 2 of these 3 names, and I knew the women's field was loaded. And I know people were saying, like, talking about these 2 other ladies, Dakota and Fiona, but I think all the attention was going to the bigger names that I was like, what? Like, this is, amazing story as well. Talking about those Puma shoes, Chriso, you've been a fan of them for a while. Your man Sondre's a Puma man, Jen Gregson. They're good.
Puma have a lot of good shoes. The shoes these girls went with these development shoes, so I don't have that. But the one Sondre ran 60:11, it was the fast R2. But all in all, it was one Nike girl in top 20. So all brands is rocking now. It doesn't matter. You just find the shoe that fits you, or you go with the shoe that your sponsor have. But for people like us, I don't know what I will bring for Barcelona next weekend. Alpha 1 maybe?
So they were, because so many females had the time already, that didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, just whoever crossed the line third. Like, there was that
top
many.
3.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, like, prize money, like, and this sort of goes to show like what the sport's like over there. So this was their, like, well, firstly they have a trial for the marathon, which obviously we don't, and probably never will. But they had prize money from 1st through to 10th. So it was like 80,000, 65, 55, 25, 20, 15, 13, 11, 9, and 7. So, pretty good payday for people, even though who missed out on making the team.
Did you see that guy as well who did, like, the majority of the work?
Zach Canning?
Yeah. So I think he, like, took off. He led for 15 miles, from 5 miles to 20 miles, when he averaged 4:49 a mile, like, so 2:06 marathon pace, pretty much 3-minute Ks. Didn't run it 1 mile slower than 4:53. And then he ended up finishing 6th in 2:10.50, but I think he only got caught at, like, 24 miles. Like, pretty close to the finish line. Gutsy
Not
from
close
him.
enough, Brady.
Not close
I knew,
enough.
I knew you'd like that sort of stuff. That's
I love
your
that
goal,
story.
isn't it?
Someone who just has a cracking life. Next bit of news. Let's whip through the back end of this show. Jakob Ingebrigtsen, Chriso, tell me how many of these things you knew. I reckon all of them. Has admitted he has struggled to train in the off-season due to a combination of illness and foot and Achilles injuries. Ingebrigtsen has been forced to cancel 2 high-altitude training trips to Sierra Nevada in Spain and is cross-training at home in Norway instead. Ingebrigtsen was forced to miss the European Cross-Country Championships in Brussels and has also cancelled a planned indoor season. He said now plan A is to start the season in Eugene, which is the 25th of May, then run Bislett Games, the European Championships in Rome, the Norwegian Championships, and then maybe Monaco. And then focus on the Olympics after that. He also announced just a couple of days ago that he's going to be a dad in June. So a bit going on for your boy, Jakob. Chriso, you know all that stuff? That's what people are saying on the ground over there? Nothing new?
No, but I don't know what to say.
You worried?
Have we seen the best out of Jakob? I don't know.
Not many people are running 1500s and they're dads. You know what I mean? Like, dads
I don't think the dad stuff is... the girl will take hand of this kid. That doesn't matter. But no training or no running in October, November, December, January, 4 months. I saw him yesterday on the airplane to Amsterdam, probably visiting one hell of a doctor or something. Maybe Nike had enough of this and sent him in around Europe. I don't know, but I am concerned. I know, as I told you, George Mills was with us yesterday. I know, White Man ran fast indoor. Per, Narva. You see a guy, you see Etir. I am worried.
Those UK blokes are lining up to smash him.
Yeah, UK has got such good depth. But I thought the Norwegian system was meant to, like, reduce the chances of injuries because of like the smart approach.
Yeah, but you can say a lot about the system. Jakob have been in this game for 10 years. Have done, all in all, you have to wear spikes and you have to run fast. And you can imagine a double day like he had in the Diamond League final. If he was a little bit in trouble with Achilles before that, I don't know. Jakob is young, but the training age is not that young. So he's paying the price of working hard and running a lot of fast 1500 meter races. But if Jakob is not in running training, serious altitude training in Mars, I think he have a big problem.
Mm. Another thing I saw today, Brady, was he must have done an interview with, who was it? Speaking with the newspaper, Kristian Stavanger.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking about his racing against Kerr and fellow Brit Jake Whiteman, he said, "I know that I win 99 out of 100 times against them. Hopefully it will be a long time until next time, but we never know when time number 99 will come."
The ego is not the issue here in Norway, I tell you that.
Domestically, we had a 10K on as well, the Sun Run in Sydney. So Ed Goddard got the win. He ran 29.33 for 10K. Tom DeCano was second in 29.40 and James Nipperis third, 29.46.
Pretty good podium, Brady.
Pardon?
Pretty good podium.
Pretty good podium. Yeah, I think the first time they've ever had 3 people under 30 minutes in that race, which is pretty hilly. So those times, those boys are going a minute quicker on the track for sure. In the women's, Alice Daniel, she won in 35.43. Lexi Gilmore was second, 36.26. And Natalie Smith was third in 36.34. So a bit of a big win from Alice there. First time I've seen her name as well, Croaks. Seen the other two before.
Yeah, I've never heard of Alice either. Yep.
And then some last bit of news from indoors, Bradley.
Yeah, so I actually watched this morning before I headed off for work. There was a live stream of the New Balance indoor Grand Prix, and so Jess Hull was lining up in the 3K, and it was a really fascinating race because there was a couple of really quick Ethiopian girls in there, but sort of halfway through the race, Ellie St. Pierre, she went to the front, and you know how Jess is normally like tactically really good. Like she was sort of sitting mid pack, and she saw Ellie sort of like leave the pack, and so she went around all the other African girls and jumped on the back, and they gapped the rest of the field. And then I reckon with maybe in the last 800 meters, Jess had about 2 or 3 cracks at her, and every time Jess went to go around, Ellie just surged a little bit just to hold the rail and make Jess have to run a bit further. But then coming down the straight, she was managed to get over the top. Ran 8:24.93, which is an Aussie record, both I guess indoors and out. It's number 6 all-time indoors. So that's incredible. St. Pierre was second in 8:25.25, and Melknat Wudu was third in 8:32. I sent these through to you, Brady, as soon as the race finished. I'm like, Jess Hull just ran 8:24. Thoughts?
Oh, it's incredible. But it does not surprise me. Like, Jess Hull is all class. I'm very interested. She did a little interview I watched today as well. Like, her dad's her coach. Like, I don't even know if anyone knows her dad's first name or if he's ever coached anyone other than his daughter Jess before. But he is doing a wonderful job. Not getting a lot of credit because that was a very smooth transition that she went from Union Track Club, moved back to Australia. She's got better. Like, you think sometimes those moves don't work and there's maybe a bit of like family bias and then it takes a bit of time to work it out. So incredible. This is a stat I absolutely loved. Only 26 women have ever broken 4 minutes for 1500, 8:30 for 5K, and 15 for the 5K. So, I know that number 6 all-time indoors, but you wonder how many people actually race indoors is impressive. I think this one's even more impressive because you look at that list of people, it is like the who's who of like women track and field runners over the years, and now Jess is in that in that conversation as well.
Very impressive. So in the men's 3K, Lemecha Gurma, he was having a crack, I think, at the world record. Came up short, ran 7:29, which was still a meet record. Beat Edwin Kurgat, 7:39 for second, and Brian Fay was third in 7:40. Quickly just ripped through the 1500s. Segai, She started off her season 3:58.11 for the 1500 meet record. Burke Halem was second, 3:58 as well, and Emily Mackay was third in 4:05. Hobbs Kessler, he got the win over Jake Whiteman, running 3:33.66. Jake was 3:34, and Craig Engels was third in 3:37. We had an Aussie girl, Carly Thomas, in the 800. She finished fourth in 2:01.
That's good. Listener question. Can we go with the second one?
Yeah. So training in a group versus solo. Obviously, you can get bigger and faster sessions done with a group, but does grinding out solo sessions add something to the mental game? Do you ever prescribe solo sessions to your athletes for this reason? And that comes in from Jack.
Great question, Jack. Great question.
Who wants to go first?
Yeah, well, I will, because I've just come out of a group workout, and it's definitely easier. But I think it's easier for me because I'm so used to it being not easy. Whereas if it's your default and you're always doing stuff in a group, you don't feel like you're getting that performance kind of benefit and things feeling a bit better. I also think it depends on what kind of runner you are. There's some runners who love to sit in and just get a ride, and probably a bit like myself, that's maybe a bit of an overthinker as well, and you tend to look at your watch, whereas you just trust someone out in front, you just lock into their rhythm. I was talking to Moose about this Sunday as well, and he's like, I love being off the front so he can get into his rhythm and his gait, whereas I find it really easy to adjust. And sitting with people, it's just, I don't know, it feels like you just get the case for free because you can just relax a bit and you don't have to worry about kind of like, pushing the pace. But I do think there's huge mental benefits for doing the occasional workout solo and getting used to being by yourself and being in your own head, especially if you're training for the marathon and half marathon, when that can happen in a race. However, I wouldn't do it too much because I think it can mentally cook you, and by the time it gets around to the marathon, it's just like, nah, I'm done. I've been dipping into that bucket to get through workouts and stuff for so long that there's only so much left to give. That's my thoughts. Kristian, do you do anything solo these days? Also, always got a group.
No, but the group is me putting up sessions that I want to do on my pace, and I'm pretty much. So I am the group. Sometimes you can ask yourself if joining a group that you are the strongest might be the best, but joining a group, if you just have to hang on, might be the worst.
Or it could be the best as well. Like, we've seen people that jump into that Melbourne track club and they hang on for a year and then they turn real good.
Yeah, I mean, you had a big podcast show with what's his name? The American record holder, Greg Fisher. He said that first 1 year in Bowerman, he could not finish one workout, but he is the best American ever. So, but I think it's, when you're talking about the biggest talent in the sport, you can see that they are right. I mean, the better the people around, the better they become. But for normal people, I think joining a group where you just have to hang on, probably better to, go back 5 seconds and run on your own.
Because wasn't that why he left that group as well? Because he's just like, it wasn't personalised anymore. It was like, this is what the group's doing. Do it. So, yeah. It's, both sides of it. Croaks, what do you like doing?
Well, I don't think I've ever done a marathon session. I've never done a marathon session that I've been training for, like, with other people. So, like, I've jumped in with Sinead when she was, like, training for the Olympics. But that, like, I wasn't preparing for a marathon. But every serious marathon I've ever done, all of my marathon sessions have been solo, other than potentially having somebody on a bike to hand out the occasional drink. I wouldn't prescribe solo sessions for people to improve their mental game, because I think at the end of the day, like, if it means enough to you, you're going to get it done both in training and on race day. The reason why I would probably prescribe solo sessions is the risk of group sessions is that some people, the slower people, are working too hard to keep up with the fast people, and so you're cooking your marathon by training in a group because you're running too fast.
Yeah.
So that's probably even a better reason to be prescribing some solo sessions, so that you're running at the pace that you should be running at, rather than trying to keep up with the group.
Race effort in training.
Yeah.
Want to avoid that. Couple of whispers here, fellas. Got a couple that have So there was a whisper a couple of weeks ago that Liam Adams was potentially doing Osaka. Incorrect. Doing Hamburg, which got announced. It also says here Andy Buchanan to run Hamburg Marathon. Was he on the same release, Croaks? Did you write that?
No, I think Andy put something up on his own social media.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I haven't seen that. Oh.
There we go. Liam Adams, Andy Buchanan. That could be interesting. A big Australian head-to-head potentially for that third spot. What is it? 2:8:10. Lisa Waitman, this is a confirmed whisper though. We told you about 4 weeks ago. Lisa Waitman, confirmed now for Osaka Marathon in 3 weeks. She was one of the invited athletes. They put their elite fields out today. Moose ranked 100th with his 2:14 in the Osaka field. So it's deep. Yeah. I didn't even look at my number because I didn't even want to know how far down the list I was. But
Osaka is the European Valencia.
Yeah. Apart from they might not pace themselves as well. So we'll see how we go there. I reckon the Japanese model, he might be sitting 200th at halfway and then come 70th.
You don't have to worry about pacing. You sit behind Julian for 42k and you sprint him down and you celebrate like he's no tomorrow.
Wouldn't that be nice? No, I'd let him take it. I'd just be the who was that guy we were just talking about? Murphy. He can be the Cotton Mantz. A few things across my desk I need to bring up here. Not happy with this. A few people have sent this through to me as well. A few people not happy about that. I don't like putting people in this segment, this Brady on the Loose segment, who we're pretty close friends with, but got good relationships with, but we've got to be honest and have a bit of a crack here. So Athletics Australia, World Cross Country criteria's come out. First thing I'm not real happy about, they're not going to select a relay team. So this is after the success at Bathurst. We come third in the world, Chriso. Third best cross-country relay team in the world. We've got guns. We got Ollie Hall. We got Stewie we can throw in there. Jess Hull, Abby Caldwell. We could chuck Jai Edwards in there if we wanted. We could chuck Lyndon Hall in there. We got that many good 1,500, 2K relay leg people that we could probably get another medal if we sent a team. But the decision has been made that we're not going to send a team. Super disappointing because I feel like we built some real good momentum after hosting the World Cross Country Championships here in Australia. And I think the punters, like just general sports fan, that would have filtered through to them that we got that medal and would have got some good publicity that I feel like when it's going to come up this year, they'd be looking for, let's tune in and see how the Australian team's going to go. But there's nothing to tune into because they won't be there. They won't be racing. Does that annoy you,
I don't think Norway would have anyone in any distance. And we have the cross-country in Europe. So thanks, for me, it's...
Thank you, because I'm about to shut Brady down because I don't agree with this at all. Like, you
don't agree with AA or you don't agree with me?
No, I don't agree with you. I think you're being a bit harsh on AA.
Oh, mate, every single Australian distance run is going to be already in Europe.
Yeah, but did you? No, they're not.
Yes, they will be. All our big dogs are in Europe over the winter.
Huh?
All our big dogs.
It's 2 weeks before the Aussie titles, the Olympic trials. And so do you think AA may have actually approached... Do you think AA may have approached our top athletes like Stewie, like Jess, saying, hey, do you guys want to do this World Cross relay, knowing that you've got your trials 2 weeks later and the selection policy, basically you need to finish, you want to finish in the top two at the Olympic trials.
Send a development team or something then. Send some people that don't usually get picked.
I know one Australian guy that will be on the start line for the cross. I think it will only be one, maybe two.
For the open teams?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they've said that. They're only going to... there was something in the policy as well. Team size also, only athletes who clearly show they are in good shape will be considered. It is not expected to be a full team, as was the case when the championships were in Australia, finishing first and second in the open and men's and open women's race. Not the juniors will be automatically selected.
I think it's different if it wasn't an Olympic year, because you look at the men's 1500. For Australia, it's cutthroat. Like, you've got Stewie, you've got Ollie, you've got Jai, Cam Myers.
Do they have to come home? Ollie won't come home for the trials, will he?
I wouldn't be surprised because, in the past, it's generally looked at if you finish first or second in the trial, you're a good chance of going. And so I reckon that they've spoken to the athlete or, Nick, for example, saying, hey, we're not sacrificing our Olympics to fly across the other side of the world and back 2 weeks before. Especially when you look at other countries, like people like Josh Kerr, Jake Whiteman, they're foregoing a world championship indoor in their own country to focus on the Olympics. And
he might have
Chris. And I think it was like, yes, World Cross winning that medal last year was great, but at the end of the day, I don't think that holds a lot of weight in world athletics, a world cross-country relay, because if it did, you would have had Josh Kerr out here, Laura Muir out here running that relay last year.
No, that's different, them coming to Australia.
Well, why is it? If it's so prestigious, this cross-country relay, why didn't they come out?
I'll put a case of beer on this with you. It will be more competitive this year when it's in Europe. I know Chris has just said Norway are not going to send their team, but it will be more competitive, the relays.
Brady, you are wrong. The only people you will see here is Africans.
Nah, you'll see some European teams as well.
Even the top...
You will see Patinen and no Europeans.
At World Cross Country. I mean the relay. Yeah. I reckon the relay will be more competitive than it was when it was in Australia.
No, the relay will be less competitive and the total will also be less. Cross country should never be in an Olympic year. Nobody cares. Even
Kenya and Ethiopia last year didn't send their best 1,500 2K runners. Like, where was Faith Kipyegon? Where was Lemecha Gurma? Like, those guys,
Bigger fish to fry, Croaks, those guys.
Yeah, so look... I know where you're coming from, but I think you have to look at the Olympics comes around once, generally every 4 years, and I reckon it would have been more about, yes, AA are the ones that aren't selecting a team, but I'm pretty sure Jess, Ollie, Stewie...
Do you reckon they would have been asked first and said, we're not interested, so don't go bother selecting like a B or C team?
I think rather than getting stuck straight into AA, you need to maybe consider that may have happened, that they've sort of said, hey... What do you guys think about running this 2 weeks before the Olympic trial?
Oh, yeah. You reckon they're that organised?
Maybe. What's your next one?
Well, that was meant to be the warm-up for this one. This was further down in the policy. Funding. While not part of the selection criteria, athletics... So this is people in the open team because there's no relay teams. So this is if you go first and second at the trials. Funding. While not part of the selection criteria, athletes should be aware that Athletics Australia reserves the right to impose a levy on the athletes to participate in this championship. Where a levy is to be imposed, athletes will be notified of the relevant amount payable at the time of selection. As a guide, it is likely to be in the range of $3,000 to $4,000. If the athlete finishes in the top 24, then the levy will be refunded. So imagine picking Pat Tiernan. You're telling me Pat Tiernan's going to World Cross Country Champs, Chriso. Yep, we picked you, used our discretion, you're not coming back to Australia to do the trial, so you weren't top two. By the way, we're going to have to charge you $4,000 to go race for Australia. One of the greatest athletes we've ever produced in this country, and you got to hit him up for $4,000, $3,000 to $4,000 to go and compete, represent your country. Don't like this. Just put it.
Do Norway ever charge any athlete to represent the country?
No.
They hit up Jakob and say, hey, you want to go to Olympics? It's going to cost you $4,000, mate. Give us $4,000 if you're going. This is the
in
levy.
Norway, if you are in the team and you are Jakob, you are on unlimited with money.
Yeah. So just put that in context. Top 24 last year, in the men's race, it would only be Kai. So if this was applied this past year gone, you would have been hitting up Brett Robinson, Jack Arena, Andy Buchanan, Rory Hunter, Andre Waring, saying, boys, we need you $3,000 to $4,000 if you want to represent our country at the World Championships. Ali, Leanne and Rose were all in the top 24 for the women's. So, don't like
I'm with you on this one,
Come
Brady.
on, these are our best athletes. Let's find a way to find... It's not a huge amount of money. Let's maybe send less staff or less physios or social media guys or whatever.
But the problem with sending less of the people you are mentioning now, that if you're going to World Cross, you need to have a doctor. You need to have a physio.
Yeah.
If not, you can... So you need to send a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Are you thinking more office staff, Brady?
Well, I don't know how the budgets and wages and all that kind of stuff work, but I think, representing your country. I get it when it's like World Uni Games or Oceania Champs or something like that, but World Cross is prestigious. Maybe look at your budgeting.
Maybe we should never be in an Olympic year.
Maybe we should hand around, sell some, caramel koalas or Freddo frogs or something, Croaks.
Well, put it this way, this year would be a perfect opportunity to blood some up-and-coming cross-country runners, because the trials, I think, are going to be really light on with the people you mentioned that were there last year, because you look at somebody like Ellie, she's got a marathon. A lot of the runners who are now focusing on the Olympics, like your Rose, and look, they might run the cross-country trial, and they might go to World Cross, but I also think that Rose, Izzy Bat-Doyle, Leanne, their focus is going to be on that 5K nationals 2 weeks later, where there's probably more points on the line for winning your national title. And so they've got to be thinking about the Olympics as well. So you're going to have a lot of our top stars opt for the track season and forego the Olympics, forego the World Cross, which means that's going to open up the door for that real sort of second tier athlete. Yeah,
top two though. Got to be top two to get a spot, because they won't pick a second tier athlete if they're not
which I think that's a shame. It'd be nice to give some up and comers some
especially if you
international exposure.
I'm kind of flipping here, because especially if they could pay their own way. If you said, there'd be some people out there would say, hey, I'm usually 12th at this thing. I'd love to have my chance to represent Australia. I know you only want to send top two automatic, and I probably don't fall into the discretion, but, if I come third or fourth or fifth or sixth at the trials, can I pay my $3,000 levy and go?
Yeah, yep.
Get their local bowling club to sell some raffle books or something like that, raise $3,000, go over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. Yeah. I can sort of, it's a tough one. It's should AA have to pay if they are sending a below elite, a team that's not our best? Should they have to?
We're still talking about guys who are probably in the top 15 in our country. I always compare it to other sports, which is a bad thing to do. Because you're all right, who's the 15th best AFL player or cricketer or whatever? They're probably making millions.
Yeah.
But then there's probably some sport when you're in the top three and you're making zero as well.
And you could argue that the investment in these, they're not superstars at the moment, but that investment now may come back and pay dividends in a couple of years' time, because they've at least now got an international competition under their belt.
It was less Brady on the loose, I was thinking, but more of an active discussion about how the economics works.
I'm with you, though. You shouldn't have to pay. You shouldn't have to pay to represent.
You shouldn't have to pay to represent your country.
Yeah.
And even if you have a bad day and come 25th, and it's just you just come 25th at World Cross, but you missed top 24, so now you get hit with you don't get the levy reimbursed.
Yeah, it's almost like you've missed prize money by one spot. Third place was $4,000.
Do you reckon the Aussie team's just going out in 24th position, just being no one passes me now, I'm in 24th. They got their parents on the side of the track 23rd, stay there. We want the levy reimbursed. So that's all they care about. Anyway, good chat. What's coming up? Adelaide Invitation. Have a listen to this 800-metre field. This is this Saturday night, the 10th of Feb. Abby Caldwell, Kat Bissett, Lyndon Hall, Brooke Feidelmeyer, murdered her last name. Bendiria Boyer, Tess Kersop Cole and Morgan Mitchell. That's a big women's 800-metre race. Going to see who's in some shape in early Feb. Pete Bowles in the 1500 with Jai Edwards, Cam Myers, Callum Davies, Rory Hunter, Jesse Hunt, Jude Thomas. Men's 800, Joey Deng, Peyton Craig, your boy from the triathlete, isn't he, Croaks? He's a big one to watch.
Queensland. Yeah.
Jake Lunn, Riley McGowan, James Preston from New Zealand, Jai Perrott, Lockie Raper, and the women's 1500, Claudia Hollingsworth, Morty Skyring, Imogen Bartlett, Caitlin Adams, Rebecca Green from New Zealand. It's going to be loaded. Talking about it all next week. Been a 2-hour show, boys, plus we stuffed up the first 50 minutes, so it's been a 2-hour and 45-minute show for us here. Longest time I've ever been on Skype on a Monday night. Tell me what you're doing before next week, Croaks.
Bit of training in the rain tomorrow, I think, and then I think work Thursday, and then off to Melbourne Wednesday week. Nothing much exciting.
Chriso, good luck at Barcelona. Anything special happening in your life? Thank you so much for doing this is your Monday morning. You've just been on Skype for us for 2 hours and 40 minutes. So I'm glad we got stuck with you. If that would have been awkward if it was someone we didn't get along with that well. Ask them to restart the podcast 50 minutes in. But we appreciate you. What's coming up?
Easy session tomorrow. Some 2Ks at 3:30 pace. Some 5 or 6 times 1K 3:25 on Thursday and then arriving in Barcelona Friday. Yeah, and hopefully we can run 68 low on Sunday.
Knock a few people off that hit list, mate.
Can we call you up for maybe 5 minutes next week's show just to see how the race went? Is that all right?
Yeah, just call me for another 3 hours. I'm always here for you guys.
It'll be 5 to 10 minutes. We've got a guest already lined up for next week, but I reckon they'd be pretty keen to fire some questions at you as well. So, yeah, I want to see how many people get taken off this hit list and how the race goes. What do you got, Croaks? Give us a prediction for Chriso.
This is good.
Yeah, well, before he did that K session, I'm like,
unknown, hey,
70. But then that one was pretty good. What was your last half? What's been your quickest one recently? 69:40 or something?
69:40 in October in Valencia.
You got to go way quicker than that.
I'm gonna go 60. I'll go 68:45.
I'll go 68:25.
All I want is you to. I reckon even a 69 flat is still. It's a step in the right direction from where you were, and it shows that the training is working. So don't discard it. Don't change tack after the weekend.
Oh no, 3:15 is the maximum. I will hold back. I have been in Barcelona 5 years. I know the course. I know that the last 6K probably be on my own. I will try my best, Croaks. So I have,
It's all we can ask, mate. It's all we can ask.
Talking with you.
I'm calling you next Monday.
Running.
I'm calling you next Monday morning your time for a quick 10-minute chat. Listeners, enjoy Jimmy Friend and Friend. His friend this week is your friend, Chriso, Toby Mende, the star of the monthly, the bad boy who previously used to live in Ballarat. He's joining Jimmy Friend thanks to the running company Geelong. They're talking about some shoes, mostly the New Balance Super Comp Elite 4. They go into heavy detail with that one. Keep an eye on our YouTube as well because they got some like visuals and stuff, so we might upload that video as well so you can see what they're talking about in a bit more detail. Thank you, listeners. That was episode number 327. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
See you guys. As you're listening to this show, you're probably training for a race. But how dialed in is your race nutrition? Precision Fuel and Hydration has a free online planner that you can use to work out how much carbs, sodium and fluid you need to perform at your best. Brady regularly uses their resealable 90-gram gels on his longer runs. Click the link in the show notes to use the planner to personalise your strategy for your next race. Then use the code INSIDE to get 15% off your first order of fuel and electrolytes and help support the show. More details at precisionhydration.com.
All right, welcome back to episode 3 of Jimmy, Friend and Friend. I'm going to call it now, not Friends, as we have a return guest in week 3. So it kind of means I've only got 2 friends, and one of them is my boss. So welcome back to Toby Mende. Good to have you back, Tobias.
Good to be back. He stole my joke off me.
Yeah, I thought I'd have to get that in early because I didn't want you to be able to sledge me. How are you traveling, mate? Last time we spoke, I believe we were talking about how fast your 3K was and asking what races you've got coming up. I believe you may have locked a couple in, maybe tentatively, but maybe entirely.
So it would have been just after that 3K that we last spoke. And then I started booking in a bunch of races and then had a hip flare-up. Got a scan thinking I'm broken again. Comes back saying I'm perfect. The hip is, not everything else.
Not something new.
Now it's been fine. All you have to do is get some magnets on you and your hip comes good.
Yeah, invest in an MRI machine for when you feel sore is all I'm hearing. Is the hip flare-up the same hip that we've been known to cause you a few issues?
Yeah, same hip, same spot. So when it got bad, I just thought, here we go again. But yeah, no idea what it was. Maybe really bad phantom pain. Like you saw me walking around, I was like limping pretty bad, unable to ride a bike.
And also you were in a shit mood for 3 days.
Yeah.
But on the back of that, what we're going to sort of deep dive a little bit on today is going to be the New Balance Super Comp Elite version 3, which after your miraculous recovery from your scan, you got to put your foot in this morning and do a bit of a fartlek in it a couple of days early, just before the Thursday release date, I believe it is. Do you want to talk a little bit quickly about New Balance Super Comp Elite? What is it, like race shoe and everything, and then give us a few like first thoughts, first put it on, how you felt like it fit and felt?
Yeah. So for me now, like I don't think I've been a massive fan of the Super Comp Elite. I never got a version 1. I thought it was way too soft. Didn't get a version 2 because I thought version 1 was way too soft. Got a version 3 because we were sort of given one. And then I enjoyed it at first, but then it didn't have that same super shoe feel. It was like a really comfortable, lightweight trainer. Like it didn't really have that same propulsive feel. This new version now is a lot better. They've finally got a PIBA foam in it, which is basically what you need for a super shoe. Like,
of course, yeah. And I think the biggest thing about the super shoe is like the carbon plate can go in any shoe, doesn't make it super. The PIBA foam, like the Super Blast, it's not a super shoe, but it feels very super with the PIBA foam. But the previous model was like an 80-20 blend of predominantly EVA, so it was only quite a small slither of PIBA in there. And now going to a full PIBA midsole, you get a little bit more magic.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, early on, you sort of had brands. I think I had a shoe from Hoka that was, maybe the Carbon X1, and that was just like EVA carbon plate, and it was shit. Like
no rocker.
It's
flat,
all about
stiff, firm.
Yeah, you need the foam and you need the plate and you need the rocker.
You kind of need them all to be ingredients in the pie rather than just whack a plate or whack some foam in.
Yeah, and now they've nailed it this time around for me. Like it's still soft. It's still got like one of the more comfortable super shoes, but it has a much more responsive and like super shoe sort of ride to it. I mean, the first thing I noticed, like I saw Ellie doing a workout in it, and it had the super shoe noise. Like it sounds
it's got
loud.
that echoey, annoying, bouncy sound to it.
Yeah, and so that's when I sort of knew before I put one on my foot, it's going to be a lot better than the previous versions. And yeah, it's definitely is.
That's right. The previous one had that like buttery, smooth transition feel, like not a real bouncy, poppy, and it wasn't super gutsy through the midfoot as well. Where like I think the new one, although it's still 40 mil 36, which is on the same sort of offset and the same amount of foam, it just feels like the foam's got a bit more guts to it. What was the workout you did this morning?
6 by 90, 60, 30 seconds with equal recovery jog. It was just something light after having a week and a bit off.
Yeah. And were you like progressing paces or just running the 30s a bit harder kind of thing?
Didn't really pay much attention to it. I think that maybe the 30s were a little bit harder just because it's 30 seconds, but then you also have a shorter recovery before you go again. Like I was just more worried I was going to hurt my hip.
Yeah. And did you do that on the bitumen?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
On the new loop.
Yeah, road racing shoe. That's some Gucci bitumen. I think the super shoe, any super shoe feels good around that loop. Tell us also, like, first of all, when you put the shoe on, the fit of the upper. Like we know the stretchy knitted tongue is the upper on the Super Comp Elite version 3. Maybe a couple of little fit issues for some people where it was a bit snug and lace loops were giving them a bit of grief. What's the upper feel like on the new one?
It's a more sort of traditional upper on the shoe. So they've gone to, like, I think they call it phantom fit upper. So it's really thin, breathable. One thing I had with the version 3, which I didn't have with this, was like rubbing at the ankle bone.
Yep.
Where that sort of the knitted tongue sort of met the rest of the shoe. I used to get rubbing there.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of a bump, like a seam there.
Yeah, none of that here. It's still like it's pretty generous in terms of the fit of the shoe. And then they also make it in a wide. So if you've got a wider foot, it's going to be the race shoe for you. Like I can't see why other brands aren't doing a wider fit race shoe, especially with the amount of people wearing them now.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like New Balance for like 100 years has got this thing of like, oh yeah, their shoes are wide. It's just like this ridiculous, no truth behind like myth. And then finally, like they're the only brand doing a wide super shoe. So it's going to be super handy for like anyone who even just prefers more room. The 2E width in the men's is going to be it's going to be a bit of a hit. I think they did offer it in previous, but maybe only for the initial drop. They didn't offer it again after that. But yeah, would you have a race shoe that you've worn previously that you might liken the feel of running in this shoe, maybe the nearest to in terms of maybe the foam density or just like the ride underfoot?
I reckon it's pretty similar to Adios Pro 3, I think I was saying. It's maybe it's a little bit softer than that, definitely more comfortable than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably the most similar sort of feel I reckon I've got.
Can you see yourself thresholding, marathon sessioning, or racing, or all of the above? Or would you see this shoe kind of landed at a certain distance or purpose?
So it definitely feels like that half marathon shoe. For me, it's like similar to the Alpha Fly, where it's like anything less than that, you're probably pushing its limits.
Yep.
There's no way around it. I love the Alpha Fly. That's
Correct.
probably still going to be my race shoe. But I was thinking about it today, where it sits for me, and I reckon it's 2 or 3 in terms of my rankings. It's definitely better than Vaporfly 3 for me. Like I don't agree with that shoe much. It just feels a lot nicer underfoot. Get on with the shoe a bit better than I do a Vaporfly.
And with the columns in the version 3, if anyone's seen it or worn it, the columns are kind of like decoupled from the heel all the way down to almost under the metatarsal heads, whereas this one, it's kind of filled in the forefoot a bit more. Did you recognize that when you were running in it? Did it feel a little more gutsy? Yeah,
definitely. Like I felt in the version 3, at times I was like almost bottoming out and feeling that plate on the ground, which
I think if you ran on a bit of gravel, you could really feel that exposed little bit of rubber there.
Yeah, and so now you don't. Well, I mean, I didn't run on gravel today, but you're not going to feel that. You got more foam under the forefoot there. It's just a much better done super shoe. Like it is for me, it's their first super shoe.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's like we've talked about the version 1. It was pretty low profile relative, and it had that really sticky outsole, so it had purposes where, like, if you were doing like reps on the grass or running Roo Run, it's sandy and gravelly, like it's got a purpose. And then since there, I think like the second one was really mushy. The third one got the plate and everything sorted, and now it feels like this one's kind of like refined the midsole, which is probably one thing. Like if anyone's seen, like it's all over sort of Instagram and everything. It's even on their website at the moment. It just says coming soon. The geometry of the midsole's got little kind of points and corners all shaved off it. Which Jules was chatting to the New Balance guys, and he sort of said like they had the shoe, which generally would be quite bulbous and sort of puffy looking. And they kind of shot lasers across all the points of the shoe that they needed to keep, and then just shaved off all the added bits that kind of didn't need to be there. So they were able to drop a little bit of weight by doing that and sort of maintaining like a real big gutsy midsole. You obviously ran on the road today for probably, I don't know, 6 or 8K. How did it look underfoot after you ran in it? Like durability wise, does it have a lot of rubber underfoot?
Yeah, I mean, it's got a fair bit of rubber underfoot. I'm not sure if we're doing any video for this, but I'll just show it there. So you got this big 4-foot section there, all filled in, a little bit on the heel there. Like I don't think it's going to be definitely one of the more durable super shoes, I think. Yep. And it's like a good bit of rubber. There'd be a couple mil there.
Yeah, I think it's not just like that really fine stuff.
Real thin. Like I think the Adios Pro 3, that is like, there's not a whole lot there. They've got maybe like 0.5 mil of rubber, and then it's just maybe a little bit more at the toe. And then, like you'll burn through that a lot quicker than you would this. Yeah.
And I think also like having the forefoot almost looks a little bit like it's a wider platform from what you've just pulled up there. Main reason I'm asking Toby all these questions is because my foot didn't fit exactly well in the pair that I tried on. So I'm yet to run in it, but I'll chase down a pair that fits. I'd walked around the shop with the one that was just a smidgen short on, and it just felt to me like a slightly denser, slightly more gutsy version of version 3, which I kind of think the version 3 for me, being a little bigger, was a little bit soft through the rear foot. And I think, as you fatigue, longer session, marathon session or a race, I think the landing area was just a little bit too compliant, whereas this felt like the columns are a little broader, the forefoot being filled in didn't allow the forefoot to compress as much, which might feel a little firmer and more resilient, which is something that I'll like, and then it might feel a little bit too much for someone else, but it's definitely a shoe that's going to be thrown into the mix of like fittings for all the upcoming marathons. When you think of Ballarat, Canberra, Gold Coast, Noosa, like Melbourne, there's a lot of fun stuff happening in the footwear world, lining up with a lot of marathons coming out, and I guess like looking up to the Olympics, we'll be seeing these on feet of everyone. One other shoe, just quickly from New Balance, that I wanted to touch on. I think it's next month rather than the 1st of Feb. So just quickly, the Feb 1st release for the Super Comp Elite version 4, in stock, standard width, wide width, ladies standard at the running company. So DM for your chance to lock away a pair. The colorway, if we're not on the video, is it's like white with a bit of green and orange. It's a pretty sharp looking colorway, good looking shoe. But also the Rebel, Toby. I know Bree got a pair of sample size. I know your foot's not that small, but like you've had a feel of it. What are your thoughts on the Rebel, which I guess is like the lightweight trainer partner to where we are here with the race shoe?
I mean, I'm pretty excited for that. I had the first version of that, and I actually I enjoyed that, even though I really didn't like the Elite, which maybe doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
That was the sock upper.
Yeah.
Yeah, with like the wing out the side.
Yeah, so I really like that. Didn't hit the other two because it then started to feel a bit too soft.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the same as the previous race shoe here. It was really, really mushy in the foam density, and it just didn't agree with a lot of people.
Yeah, so I can't remember doing too well with that one at all, like even in store. Version, is it 3, 4?
Version 4, yeah.
Yeah. It just looks like it's taking the new things from the Elite, putting it into something that's not plated. It's going to be really light. It's going to be really fun to jog in. Like, I think there's maybe trying to target it as a tempo shoe, but realistically, it's a fun, lightweight daily trainer for me. I'm kind of excited to get my foot in one. It maybe a similar sort of thing to maybe a Nova Blast, just lighter.
Yeah. Like chuck it on for your warm-up, cool-down and hill reps kind of thing, like not changing shoes for type setup.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good, what it could be really good for, something where you don't want to take a shoe. It's always been that travel shoe, I think. You're going away, you want to bring one pair of shoes, that's it. Like you can jog in it, you can do reps in it because it is so light and responsive.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be a bit more refined now.
It's also, if you hold up the version 4 of the race shoe there, like it's between the two columns. It's entirely filled in underneath, so it's not plated. It's much more flexible, but it's got a full contact outer sole, so you don't get that really soft column, I guess, compressing independent to each other, lateral kind of instability, like you might if there was a big cavity through the middle there. Anything else on the Super Comp Elite version 4 before we just sort of trickle onto a couple of sort of mileage shoes that are on their way in?
Oh, I think I did have something that I forgot, which is on brand.
Doesn't sound like you.
Yeah, no, I can't have been too important.
That's right. Again,
actually, the plate, it's a lot stiffer than what it used to be.
Okay.
And nice. I mean, again, if we go, like if I try and flex this one here, I'm not sure if we're going to have video out, but...
Oh, yeah. I just literally did that to mine. I was like, used to be pretty stiff, didn't it? But maybe not. Yeah, you got a little bit more... it's almost like it might be thicker.
It's supposed to be thinner. I was just looking at something. It said the plate's thinner, but it's just so
better
much
quality carbon then. Yeah, that's good. Perfect. Couple of mileage shoes coming up. Do you want to talk about Nimbus 26? Did you get to chuck on the sample of that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Talk to us about that a little bit. I think Jules and Bree have been jogging in it a bit, but that's coming up next month as well. So just a couple of little daily trainers, mileage shoes that might be suitable.
Yeah, so I think I enjoyed the 25 we're at now. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. Towards the end of its life, it started to feel really soft. The new version felt a little bit firmer underfoot initially, a bit lighter. And, I think it's going to be, again, a good update. Like, if you compare that to what the 24 or 23 was, it's such a better shoe.
if it wasn't the Nimbus name that's been around for 25 years, they just bin it and just go with a whole new name. Like it's that much different and that much more versatile, suitable, all the words. Yeah. But I think like the only thing that I recognized with the samples and stuff was like they've refined the midsole to a point where I guess bad example using New Balance shoe, but like the forefoot isn't quite as flared. The midfoot isn't quite as narrow. So it's almost like these midfoot areas come out a bit, the forefoot areas come in a bit, and it's just going to be a little bit more refined and straight. And it's kind of like a neater package on your foot. You're not going to look down and see such a bulky shoe, which is like pretty important for a fair few people. We've seen similar designs for other ASICS shoes down the line, like Kayano. They're not going to look quite as beefy.
Yeah.
And the other thing on the trend of midsole cavities is the Cloud Monster 2 is sometime this month. I was just chatting to Jules Asavo about how we get a delivery from On before we get an invoice, so we're never really sure when the stuff's coming, but it's down for Feb. And again, that's the shoe that's just picked up rocks and gum nuts and all sorts of random stuff for everyone all around the bush. I remember Rob Wilson going on about how he can't get out the door because it's just gravel everywhere around him and it's just full of rocks. So that's going to have a tiny little bit more stack height, a tiny little bit softer foam, and the cavity is going to be filled in through the midfoot. So it's an update that kind of, it's been such a comfortable and successful shoe for so many people. We didn't want to see it update a shitload, and it hasn't. It's just kept its sort of 6 mil pitch, relatively similar stack, and kind of like Daily Trainer.
Yeah, again, it's just a brand that's had a good shoe, and they're just tweaking the complaints that people had. Like everyone would have complained about it picking up rocks and everything else there.
That's right. They did it in the Stratus just previously, so it's an easy fix really, and it's probably something that when they made it, they were like that, like this decoupling will never cause an issue, and all of a sudden it's picking up. Like you run down the footpath here, like I don't even run on a trail 6 days a week, and I pick up gum nuts and all sorts of stuff. So it's another one to look forward to. Anything else you see in the next, we'll say we can talk about stuff for the next 2 months maybe? Anything else in there that gets you excited?
Oh, not that I can see there. What have we got? I think we might have done this.
I think we've ticked off on everything.
What did we did the heart rate monitors last time, didn't we?
Yeah. Heart rate. Tell us about how yours was cutting out a little bit, and then this could actually be really good. This is actually really good advice for anyone who is like a bit of a meathead and got tattoos all over their arms. Tell us what happened.
So I'd been struggling with my one dropping in and out on my runs, and I was sick of it, and I was trying to palm it off to you for $50. And then I thought one day, maybe it's got something to do with where it's sitting on my arm. Like I've got a tattoo there that's pretty much just black and filled in. And then I asked you about it, and you said, yeah, that's an actual thing. And then I didn't trust you, so I Googled it.
Turns out.
And it turns out it's an actual thing. I've moved it to the other arm, and I've had no issues with it at all. It's been perfect since.
Where you were putting it was a 20-cent coin-sized dot that is coloured in black, like right on the spot.
It's just...
I can't remember where I heard that, but I heard something maybe on a podcast about like optical heart rate and pigment in the tattoo, like not allowing it to be read properly. That's probably all wrong, but it's true. So if anyone's had issues with it and they've got tattoos, and you can move it, like, I don't know, other arm inside of your bicep, outside of your bicep, try something different. But yeah, that's probably the only thing that's ever gone wrong with it, and it was wrong with you. So yeah. Other than that, I reckon we're pretty sweet. We've got a few more on Cloud Spike 10,000s landed in store this morning. So that's probably the one other thing that a few people have been waiting on.
I must have missed out on those again.
Contact the Instagram of the running company Geelong if any of these things tickle your fancy, and we'll be able to give you a call, jump on an email, or come into the shop and be able to sort you out. You're working tomorrow, aren't you?
I am.
Perfect. We'll see you then.
See you later.
Take it easy.